Yup, we back. SUC in the building. Y'all know what's going on. The source is in the building. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the Source Debate League. We back. And we continuing our witch hunt, man. You know, the Bible say clearly, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. So I'm doing the Father's work. We are doing the Father's work here, man. This is what we making our ancestors proud on this show, right? And we had a guest that was supposed to come. He was woofing earlier. He was big teething, as y'all say in Chicago.
Man.
You know about that big teething?
Don't bring Chicago. Yeah.
Hey, but you know about that big teething though. You know, a lot of people be big teething. And this brother was big teeth, and I'm just gonna call him and address him as the con man right now, the con artist.
Nah, he's gonna come on. Hey, trust me.
All right, how much you want to put a bet on that? How much you want to
bet? Hey,
if he does not show up, I'll give you. I mean, if he does show up, I'll give you $20 cash out. And if he doesn't, you get.
I'm not gonna make any bets. I'm just saying.
Alvin, that's how. See, Alvin, you can't even get him. You was right, man. You was right. This nigga is always on the fence on every goddamn thing. You can't get him to commit to nothing.
Hey, ain't that what I told you? As soon as we get on here, he wasn't gonna commit to nothing. He was gonna be everywhere.
Wait a minute. No, because this, I'm kind of sure he'll come, but he
kind of sure he come. But first it was he'll come.
He'll come. He'll be on here.
You a terrible agnostic, by the way.
I'm not agnostic. I believe God exists.
Hey, anyway, man, you know, the con man, Khonsu, was supposed to have a discussion, a dialogue about naturalism, Darwinian evolution, and natural processes. And I want him to explain how that bacteria create, you know, all living organisms that we see on the earth.
Hold on. Hey, I'm finna get hold on, man. You can't be calling my homie con man, bro. Let me call him. I'm finna get him on here. Hold on.
All right, now we'll see. All of a sudden, the brother, you know what I'm saying, all type of excuses. He got to go drop his daughter off or something, or you know, he went to the emergency room. It's gonna be some BS. It's gonna be some BS, but the show will go on. You know what I'm saying? We on this Darwinian witch hunt. We're not gonna let any of you witches survive. I'm the Van Helsing of this shit. I'm the Van Helsing.
Hey, which Van Helsing? I'm thinking that you seen the anime Van Helsing with Alucard.
No. Shit, Alucard is hard though. I didn't even think about that.
Hey, man.
I'm thinking about Castlevania on that one.
Hey, Castlevania, cold. That's the best. That's the best one I've seen.
Nothing. What's this thing? Let me look up the name of this thing, man. I can't. It's like one of my favorite animes too.
But I was referencing the movie. That movie, I think it came out 2004.
Yeah, you talking about that little cheap movie with Van Helsing. It was cool, but it was like a little cheap little movie though.
Listen, that movie was a shit to me when it came out.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it was good for what it was.
You know what I'm saying? But you know, I want to make a tribute to all my Darwinian brothers and sisters out there. All the naturalists out there. I got a tribute for you. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna open up this thing right.
Oh shit. Oh man.
You know, that was from the heart.
Hey, Khonsu, show, man, that ain't right.
Listen,
you gotta start doing the J.R. Ryder version, man.
Oh man.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna look that one up. I'm gonna get it queued up. But listen, man, it is magic. The shit's magic. Because we asked these brothers, where did the first life from? What's the you understand, Alvin? Listen, what's crazy about having the origin of life discussion, no one ever talks about the origin of life when we have these discussions. Talk about everything else. You know what I'm saying?
Abiogenesis, right? Nobody really talks about that.
Yeah, I want to know, where did this organism come from? Where did the information come from? Where did the genome come from? Because they always want to start with a fully completed cell with organelles, ATP. It has a way to power itself. It has a way to. It already has duplicating code and sequences, transpons and jumping gene. It has every fucking thing. Where did it come from?
So look, until our brother comes on, we're going to deal with what I said, right? So listen, I'm not saying a chicken. Listen to me now. There's a very interesting distinction. I'm not saying a chicken came from a dinosaur. I'm saying a chicken is a dinosaur. Like right now, it is a kind of dinosaur.
It's a kind of dinosaur, right?
Right. It's because I put it in the chat, right? You look at that velociraptor with the feathers and all of that, it looks like a demon turkey. Like, you gave a turkey some steroids, you know what I'm saying? Put some teeth in there. That's what you would look. You would look at a velociraptor and be like, that's a very ugly looking turkey.
All right, so we got your article queued up. It's from 2015. I've seen this article before, and you know what I'm saying. Let me give a shout out to Alvin for coming through, man. I got to properly, break up. You know what I'm saying. Like, you got to get acclimated. All right, so hold on.
Okay. Oh man.
Yeah, man. You open up the show with some magical, fanciful Walt Disney-esque shit.
Now hold on. Now I didn't say anything about scales turning into feathers. The only two claims I made so far is that velociraptors have feathers and a chicken is a dinosaur. Those are the two.
All right. So let's get it, because that claim that you brought up has been disputed, but they always talked about because everything that we see on this planet has came through natural processes according to Darwinian evolution, right? So that would include the feather. And how they explain the evolution of the feather, since you brought it up, is that it started off as a scale and then naturally progressed into feathers. You understand? That's a part of the literature, but so it's weird.
Which is not an argument I'm making. I can say, okay.
I know, but it's weird. Why do they even have the feathers? I don't understand why they had. See, with ostriches, the non-avian birds, we can say, okay, they lost that information. Genetic entropy is a thing. Animals lose information all the time. You have animals that have the sonic hedgehog gene, which causes them to lose limbs. That's a lost information. With Darwinian evolution, you need a gain of information. And we never see any animals gaining new novel traits and new information. So
Velociraptor, why not say they also come from a bird that could fly and they lost that information? How come we can't use that same argument with Velociraptor?
Because everything we see in the paleontological record on the velociraptors, they have been nothing but a velociraptor. But with birds, with birds, it's the fossil record is replete with avian birds.
But that's the argument I'm making. I'm saying a bird and a dinosaur is the same thing. So
listen, I don't want to hit you with the magic 10 times in a row, bro.
Check this out. I am saying a velociraptor is a quote unquote bird. So if I could use this argument with the chicken that it lost information and now it's flightless, because I'm saying the chicken is a dinosaur and a bird and versa. We could also say, well, hey, Velociraptor might have came from something that could used to fly, and now it can't because it's a bird and a dinosaur, just like a chicken is a bird and a dinosaur. How come we
Yeah,
can't
but
do that?
that's a gain of information. That's a gain.
No,
Of
no, it would be a loss of information if the Velociraptor can't fly no more. Like if it
so
had
okay, you would have to say that the birds came first. Then, if it's a loss of information, you have to
but
say avian bird. Hold on, you don't know how
okay.
lost. If you're saying they're the same, you have to say the birds predate dinosaurs, lost the information, and became raptors. That's the opposite.
No. I'm saying a bird and a dinosaur is the same thing. It's not one that came from another. So I'm not saying a chicken came from a dinosaur.
This is what they do.
I'm saying a chicken is currently
evolution.
a dinosaur. It's not that a chicken came from a dinosaur and then evolved into it. I'm saying it is right now a dinosaur. And I'm saying a velociraptor is a bird.
Okay. So now I got your article on the stream.
I should have gave you hey, I can't deal with you, man. Hey, why you? Hey, you so I ain't rocking with you,
bro. You's a magical ass nigga right now. You on some Jack and the Beanstalk, Wizard of Oz type shit right now, man.
Hold on.
This brother said a raptor has a loss of information because a chick. Are you saying
No, I'm saying if you're gonna use that argument, which is I don't got a problem with the argument. You're saying the chicken can't fly no more because it lost that information. Okay, cool. Because I'm saying a chicken is a dinosaur. Okay, cool. You could do that. I'll just use that same explanation you used for the chicken for the Velociraptor and why it got.
You know, a wise man told me an argument that undermines logic should be thrown out.
Why is it undermining logic? When the claim is made, they're both birds. And if birds can't fly no more,
brother,
due to a loss of information,
let's
then
be rational.
I'll just use the same argument
not a loss
with a
of
bird called Velociraptor.
How can an avian? Okay, so are you saying if it's a loss of information, an avian bird would have to become a velociraptor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that means avian birds predate velociraptor.
Which is fine. What I'm saying is that's fine because it doesn't change either way. I'm saying a bird is a dinosaur.
Bro, how are you being pseudo like?
Hey, listen. No, it's not because listen, you're saying it would have to come from an avian bird. I'm like, fine, because avian birds and dinosaurs are the same to me.
All right, I'm not gonna let you confuse my audience. I'm not gonna let you confuse my audience anymore.
How is a land mammal and a flying? I mean, not a land mammal, a land animal and a flying bird the same thing?
The same way a chicken or ostrich is a bird, and it's not a flying bird, right?
Ostriches could fly.
Yeah, well, that's the point I'm making. I'm saying, okay, if we can do this with ostriches, right? It used to, whatever species it is came from something that could fly. I'm just like an ostrich. I'm saying a velociraptor is also a bird.
So
that probably had an ancestor
from a velociraptor.
I'm saying a velociraptor is a bird.
So it's not a lizard anymore. It's a bird.
No, I'm saying dinosaurs and birds is the same creature. So when I say a chicken, I'm saying a chicken right now is a dinosaur.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying an ostrich.
All right. A chicken is a dinosaur. All right, cool. I'm not gonna you confusing my audience because first you say they predate. No, first you say avian birds predate dinosaurs. Nobody fucking believes that. No, brother. Alvin, that's what you said. You on camera, brother. You recorded, bro.
You're okay, this is the miscommunication. You're separating. The thing is,
you said the shit verbatim.
No, listen to me. You're separating bird and dinosaur as if they're two different things. I'm saying they're the exact same thing. I'm not saying.
Wait, why do the scientists call one dinosaurs and another birds if they're the exact same thing?
Because birds is something that they call them modern day instead of like the colossal
So that's
creatures.
still a
we see.
difference there, right?
Well,
Right,
the
right.
only difference is the time period we're talking in. But I'm saying when you talk to like a
So raptors
paleontologist,
was flying.
yeah, I'm telling you, no,
Was
not
raptors
raptors.
flying? Then that's another difference.
No. There's okay. There's so look.
Listen,
The
stop while you
miscommunication.
ahead, bro. Stop while you ahead, man. It's
Hey,
getting worse for
hey,
you, bro.
Hey, wait a minute. I got another. Is a brontosaurus? Is that a bird too?
No, not a
What
brontosaurus.
about
Listen to me.
Triceratops?
Yeah, I
What
was just
about
about to say that. What about a
No,
triceratops?
hold on. The specific dinosaurs they say are birds are the theropods. Those
Okay,
are the two-legged
Okay,
all
ones
right.
how about,
that run
I got a
around.
real evolutionary question for you. How did theropods become avian creatures?
Well, I'm not even making that argument. I'm saying that if we go, hold on,
What?
check this out. No.
And how did
I'm
they
not
get
even.
avian creatures?
Hold on.
Okay,
Because the argument is again, I didn't say the chicken came from a non-avian whatever creature. I'm saying it currently is one. So y'all are arguing as far as like how did this
of course, a
become
chicken
that?
can fly.
Okay, yeah. So y'all are arguing for how did this become that, and I'm arguing for this is this and this is that. I'm not necessarily talking about evolution. So if I see this fossil in this article
Okay.
and it's a raptor and it has feathers, I'm simply saying, hey, that creature has feathers.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
Now,
before we go
talking
into the
about
okay, before we go to the article, just one question.
Mhm.
Are there any living descendants of the Velociraptor today?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
That's a directly descent from. I don't know.
okay, that's all I want to know.
According to him, it's a pheasant.
Oh,
I
shit.
I figured he was gonna say something, you know what I'm saying, but he
Yeah.
didn't
Nah.
say nothing.
I mean, I think that they'll might.
Evolution ended with the Velociraptor.
Yeah, I think they might say something like, "Hey, this particular bird might has some kind of resemblance to it," or so. They might say something like that, but I don't know
So
of any.
owls come from velociraptors. Owls.
I
That's
didn't
owl.
say. I didn't say.
Okay, where do chickens come from? What is
I
the
don't
ancient
know.
ancestor of a chicken?
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
No, see
They
that
look
again.
chicken
Again,
wings. You see them
I'm
Tyrannosaurus Rex arms look like chicken wings.
okay. Okay, how about this? Maybe this would be better. Where I'm saying a crocodile now is what it was millions of years ago. I'm not
Correct.
saying that this crocodile is coming from some other ancient crocodile. I'm just saying I see a crocodile then, I see a crocodile now.
If it
So
didn't
when
come
I
from the
say,
ancient crocodile, it wouldn't be here, right?
yeah,
Gotta come from
so
somewhere.
no, true. But what I'm saying, I'm doing the same thing with the chicken I'm doing with the crocodile.
Hey,
So if
shout
I
out
see
to, hold on real quick, Alvin.
uh-huh.
Shout out to TJR in the crowd. He said the Piltdown Man, which was a fraud. They tried to make a missing. They forcefully made and fabricated a missing link between apes and men. Nebraska Man, the Tartara lizard, the Colcant actually disproves Darwinism, because how the hell you got the Colcant living today and living during the time of the dinosaurs? It's pretty much a living fossil, right? And Archaeopteryx is a damn bird. It's not a damn dinosaur. It's a bird. It's a fully it has the morphometrics of a modern bird, right? It has all of the features of a damn bird, but y'all want to call it a damn dinosaur. So I'm glad this better put this. All of this easily debunks every Charles Darwin claim. What was you saying, Alvin? I just wanted to address the crowd. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I'm doing with the chicken is what I do with the alligator. So if they pull up an old ancient alligator, I'm saying, okay, that's a alligator living back then, and you got alligators now. So when I see a chicken now, I'm saying, hey, that's a dinosaur right now. And then when I see Velociraptor, I'm like, okay, that's a dinosaur back then. And then I can say, okay, that's a bird back then, right? And then I'm saying that's a bird now. I'm saying a dinosaur and a bird.
No, you're not. You're saying they dinosaurs now and then, nigga. That's what
I'm
you're
saying, but
saying.
I just literally just said that.
Now you said that the T-Rex was a big turkey.
I said the Velociraptor.
Oh, my bad.
Is a
Velociraptor was a big turkey.
right? Because the thing with the T-Rex is that they were trying to say they have feathers, but that's kind of like
that was pseudo as hell. That shit
they don't
pseudo.
really know about that anymore. That used to be a thing, but now it's like they don't know if the T-Rex have feathers.
I got something I need to read about scientists using their fucking imagination as empirical evidence. But we do see. This is why I don't let brothers use lookership. And Alvin, you've been doing a lot of lookership since the beginning of the show. Because lookership,
what was the lookership I just?
Nigga, your whole dissertation was lookership.
About what? What was the lookership?
Alvin, are we gonna do this live?
I'm just saying, like okay. I said, hey, listen.
Did you not say a chicken and a Tyrannosaurus Rex look the same?
I did not say that. I was talking about Velociraptor. I said Velociraptor. Okay. And it's not just about them looking the same.
A dinosaur and a chicken is the same thing.
And I'm saying it's based on the bone structures, how hollow the bones work.
Okay, that's looking the same.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
No, hold on. It's not. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Alvin,
something having bone structure set up, right? The same hollow bone structure is different from just visually looking.
Do you understand what bone structure means?
They don't have hold on.
Structure of bone.
Show me a dinosaur with hollow bones. Show me a dinosaur with hollow bones right now, because you said hollow bones.
Hold on, wait.
No, stop.
Hold on. Before you nitpick every word I say. Wait.
Can we get
Before you start nitpicking every word?
Can I get a dinosaur with hollow bones?
Hold on. Lighter bone.
Oh my God.
We're not gonna don't nitpick everything I say.
Let them run. Let them run.
Listen, all I'm saying is this. Right? Well, I just said it like 6 times. I'll let you take it. I'm saying the chicken is. That's what I'm saying.
But when we say you say that, you say you didn't say that. Anyway.
No, because I'm saying this is what I said. The chicken is a gun. Oh my God.
It's magic.
Oh man. Okay, wait a minute. This is what I said. A bird is a dinosaur, and a dinosaur is a bird.
Throw in the towel, brother. Throw in the towel. It's getting worse.
At least get it right. I said a chicken, a bird is a dinosaur. But hold on, but you gotta take what I say. A bird is a dinosaur, and a dinosaur is a bird. You just can't take one part of that and just say you said that and act like I didn't say the other.
All right.
I said
so dinosaurs and birds are the same according to Alvin.
Yeah, right? According to me, yes. I'm
okay, show me a dinosaur. Hold on, brother. Show me a dinosaur with hollow bones right now.
No, I'm not going to do the hollow bone thing. I said lighter bone. Lighter bone.
No. Avian birds got hollow bones. Show me a dinosaur with hollow bones.
Since their structure is so much the same.
Okay. Archaeopteryx, right?
Archaeopteryx is a damn bird.
Yes, which is a dinosaur. So there you go.
Show me
a bird is a dinosaur.
He say bird.
Archaeopteryx is a bird and a dinosaur.
You know that's a circular argument, right?
No, but that's what I'm telling you.
Show me. Hold on, brother. Show me a theropod like a velociraptor, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Show me those. A dinosaurian, not a goddamn avian bird.
I'm telling you, Archaeopteryx is a dinosaur, but it's also a bird. See, the problem is you are separating the bird from
all right. So he can't. All right, for the audience watching, he cannot show me that. That's why he's dancing right now.
Archaeopteryx. A dinosaur is a fossil reptile of the Mesozoic era in many species and enormous size. So, do you have a different definition you're using? Maybe from that article you brought up.
What did you ask? You asked for hollow bones of the dinosaur.
Yeah, go ahead and get your Googles on. Get your Googles on.
Okay, we'll Google. Let's go to Google.
Teach me something.
Play that music while I'm looking for this.
No, while you looking at the article you provided, because it's been 20 minutes of you confusing homoplasty with homology. So let's read this. Where is
Okay.
it?
Y'all ready? Y'all ready for the list?
Hey, why y'all putting up that article?
Y'all sure y'all want this? Y'all sure y'all want the answer to this question?
I want the answer to it. $500.
Are you 100% sure?
But I'm 100.
Anything called a theropod?
No, not anything called a theropod because they can classify modern birds as theropods.
Theropoda.
Gotcha.
Whose members are known as theropods in a dinosaur clade that is characterized by hollow bones and three-toed limbs.
Right.
So they got hollow bones?
No, that's not because Velociraptor has hollow bones. It's because
so they have hollow bones.
Alvin, it's because they classify modern birds with theropods now.
But hold on, wait a minute. So if theropods have hollow, hold on. If theropods have hollow bones, then I was correct.
No, you wasn't.
You just said a dinosaur with hollow bones. That's every theropod. So they got hollow bones.
This dude is silly.
Just like a chicken.
Do you know what a hollow bone is? Do you know what a hollow bone used for? All right, man. I'm gonna
James came through in the clip.
No, he didn't. If you read, hold on. Let's see what else he has to say. Let's look at theropods, right? What are theropods?
There.
Oh, I just looked it up. James is right.
Right.
Theropod is a dinosaur that's characterized by hollow bones.
Why?
And three toes.
Why?
You just see. Don't move the goalpost.
Stop! Ain't nobody moving the goalpost.
You
what?
said.
Hold on. Zion said this the other day. Oh, birds are theropods. When he looked it up on Google, birds are listed on the theropoda.
You just moved the goal.
No,
because you asked me.
I'm not asking for avian
to show
birds.
you a dinosaur.
Let me help you out. Alvin. Alvin, let me help you out before I play the magic song on you again. Let me play the magic song on you again.
Oh.
I'm going to share my screen, and this is why what James read said that. They're including avian birds in theropoda. This is Britannica. Can you see my screen, Alvin? Mr. Pseudo.
Okay, because they're saying what I'm saying.
This group
that dinosaurs are birds.
Got you. This group includes all known carnivorous dinosaurs as well as the birds. You understand that?
Ooh, in this same article, it said velociraptors have hollow bones. This is on the Wikipedia.
Got you.
On the Wikipedia.
Got you.
Play that magic music for me.
All right. If velociraptors, hold on. If velociraptors have hollow bones, I'll concede to that. But what he read is in conjunction with this because oh my God, go back. Because avian birds are placed in theropoda, right?
Yeah.
It says it right here.
Yeah,
I'm not asking, brother, I'm not asking for avian birds and just because someone classified them. I want the lizard hip the lizard hip reptilian dinosaurian.
Okay, velociraptor.
Hey, look, hold up. I'm sorry. I'm gonna give you exactly what you asked for.
Yeah, give it to
All right, exactly. All right. Look up this huge dinosaur thigh bone found on Washington Beach.
All right.
You wanted the hip bone.
Oh snap!
No, bro, lizard hip.
James coming through in the clutch.
Hey, I'm not on nobody's side here. I don't think this has anything per se to do with the evolution argument.
Yeah, no, it don't. It really don't. It doesn't help.
It get more intricate than that. That's just one of them. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm saying, but that it ain't nothing that's like
huge dinosaur found where?
On Washington Beach.
Let's see.
It should be from Live Science.
Man, go down. I gotta get
it should be from Live Science.
Right here.
Right there. Damn.
That's not a hollow bone, brother.
No. Look, go down.
There's
Let
evidence
me,
that
let me,
dinosaurs once
let me
roamed Washington. Okay, a fragmented femur bone hidden underwater for millions of years has become the first evidence that dinosaurs once roamed Washington. A new study finds, and not just any dinosaur. This beast was a theropod, two-legged, mostly meat-eating group of beasts such as Tyrannosaurus rex and Velociraptor that are related to modern-day birds.
Hey, let me read this part right here where it says that one if you can you probably can search it or something like that. That one really great diagnostic feature for carnivorous dinosaurs or theropods, Cedar said. You always hear about T-Rex having hollow bones
Hey,
or velociraptors having hollow bones. Modern birds have hollow bones, and that's one of the features that links birds and theropod dinosaurs.
No, that where's it saying the fossil that they found is a hollow bird?
Hold on, it's in here because I read it. That's why I asked for it. Hold on, let me find exactly where is it.
Because I never read that. That is a avian feature. Because the whole purpose of having hollow bones is so you don't weigh as much. That's the whole purpose. So you can induce lift.
Oh, here it is right here. Several clues suggest the fossil belonged to a theropod, Sider said. For instance, the fossil once had a hollow middle cavity, which was unique to theropods during the late Cretaceous. I don't know how to say that period.
Cretaceous period.
Cretaceous, yeah.
Yeah. So that's not that's not the same thing as bird. So it's saying it had a hollow middle cavity, a hollow bone. Hold on.
The middle of the bone is hollow. That's the cavity. That's what's hollow in the hollow bone.
Hold on, let me show you. Hollow bones. Let me see if I can get Britannica.
Yeah, them like human hollow bones.
No, hollow bones are called pneumaticized bones, meaning they're filled with space for air. It is thought that these structures help with oxygen intake during flight. Air sacs are attached to hollow areas in the bird's bones.
Okay.
But hollow bones don't make a bird lighter. Oh, I thought it made it lighter. Okay, I'm learning something. Let's see. Let's read this. We'll learn something today. Let's see. Where were we at? Air sacs are attached to the hollow areas in birds' bones. Essentially, their lungs extend throughout their bodies. This helps the bird take in oxygen while both inhaling and exhaling. This adds more oxygen to the blood, providing the bird with extra energy for flight. Ah, okay. Okay, I just learned something. But hollow bones will make a bird lighter, as is commonly thought. According to a researcher from the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, bird bones are heavier than animals of similar size if you compare just the bones. The skeleton of a 2-ounce bird is heavier than the skeleton of a 2-ounce mouse. A bird's bones are denser. This density makes this thin, hollow bone stiffer and stronger to keep them from breaking. Crisscrossing struts or trusses are also provide structural strength. Okay, all right, I learned that today. I didn't know that's why they had. I thought it was just for them to be lighter. All right. But in this article, it says what? The hollow middle cavity?
Yeah.
Oh, so they're saying it once had a hollow middle cavity.
Yeah. So it was once a hollow bone.
So,
because
okay, how would they determine
what happens
it?
with a fossil is the dirt or the minerals in the dirt replaces where the bone once was.
Right.
Yeah. That's when it fossilized. So that's what it's saying. It once had a hollow middle cavity. So it's a hollow bone.
I'm not sold on it, but if the article says that, I can see that point for now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it changed anything with evolutionary argument.
Yeah, because I don't know about that though. But I can see that point on hollow bones. But when we see them in birds, they do have something to do with flight because air sacs are attached to them. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know why a goddamn dinosaur that's lizard hip and not even bird hipped. The dinosaurs that are bird hip are Tyrannosaurus Rex, not Tyrannosaurus Rex, Triceratops, the Brachiosaurs. They're the ones that are quote unquote bird hip. Tyrannosaurus Rex and Velociraptors are lizard hipped. You know what I'm saying? So you have to explain that becoming bird hips. You have to explain when did they get air sacs. You have to explain the development of feathers. You have to explain the unidirectional lung. There's a lot of stuff you got to add to it, Alvin. You understand? Is Alvin still there? Or he left.
He's still though. He probably, Alvin, he gonna mute himself and start doing something. But
Yeah,
they
man.
are saying they working on explaining the those hollow bones being just because of their enormous size to help deal with that and not have nothing to do directly with flight.
So Argentinosaurus, I believe, is the biggest dinosauria we have. And let's put this in the record. Let's make this known and clear. There is no flying dinosauria. Pterosaurs are not dinosaurs. Pterodactyls are not dinosaurs. You understand? So it's like if you look up a pterosaur now and see how their what their taxonomy is, they don't fall under dinosaurs. It was somebody in the chat put up the cockatrice. Yeah, I mean it's pretty much what people believe now. If you believe that theropods, and when I say theropods, I'm not classifying it like they do it now. They put avian birds in. I'm talking about Velociraptor, Tyrannosaurus Rex, people of that species. I mean, not people, but yeah, organisms of that species evolved into avian birds. You pretty much believe in the myth of the cockatrice, because that's basically what the cockatrice is, like a half serpent, half bird thing. You understand? So I don't understand. You brothers are on the cusp of believing in mythology. That's pretty much what you're doing. Because again, where are the air sacs? Where are all the muscles that help for tension and bending? And what we just read, you need air sacs and you need a unidirectional lung. You understand? So they can continue to get fresh air for flight. Like bats, they get more, like I think 70% more air than normal mammals. So it's like you need all of these biomechanics to make these I keep saying people, make these creatures or organisms function. And you can't build it incrementally. See, Darwin's gradual evolution, you have to build body plans incrementally. How do you build a wing incrementally? You need the whole wing. How do you build a unidirectional lung incrementally? You need the whole lung. Air sacs, how do you build all these things incrementally?
By jumping for 2 million years, and then you get some wings, man. You fly, bro. If humans just ain't been around long enough jumping, but we getting there, man. You seen Jordan?
Right. This is what Brother Zion said. Oh, that's why Jordan, he can glide now. That's another thing too. If you think gliding and flying is the same thing, you an idiot.
Hey, it's gradual progress, brother.
Yeah. Slowly incremental changes. It's like we're talking about why haven't sea otters transformed into goddamn whales yet?
Okay, now hold on.
That's what I want to know.
Let me be the Darwin person.
You the Darwinian person? All right, so
Since I know Darwinian, I'm gonna explain that one.
Okay, no, explain before we move to that one. Explain to us why there are no dinosauria that can fly. And we're not talking about modern avian birds. We're talking about those Mesozoic dinosauria.
They can't fly because they can't.
That's your explanation. They can't fly, right?
I mean, because they can't.
Okay, so they can't fly. So where did the information for flying come from? How did they get the information for flying? How did they get the genetic sequences, codes, protein folds, transposons, jumping genes? How did they get all that?
Well, they didn't get that because they can't fly. Birds can fly, though. Right?
Oh,
the flying dinosaurs that we call birds.
According to neo-Darwinians, according to neo-Darwinism, modern birds. Hold on. Mm-hmm. Modern birds evolved from Mesozoic theropods.
Okay, so I got to keep it real.
Two-legged
I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it real. How they describe how birds started to fly is a little fairy tale sounding, right? So what they say is, and you probably already seen it. It's basically they were living on. Okay, I've heard two of them. One, they were living close to a cliff, and the babies kept falling off the cliff. And I'm not even making this up, bro. This is like a real. They saying that the 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 baby kept falling off the cliffs, and over time, the evolutionary pressure of falling off a cliff made them develop wings. Okay, now that's one crazy one. Right? Now they got another one that maybe is a little more interesting, where okay, the wings developed. I think I said this earlier. It was helping them to run faster. So the faster they were running, the wider the wings would spread. And then after a while, the running started to become jumping with the wings. And then after a while, they just started flying. Now, the only problem with that is I have not seen an animal that has wings like that that's like running and jumping. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't seen an animal like that. So that's the problem. But yeah, how they started to become flying is, it's a little shaky.
They didn't start. They never started flying, man. That's the
Yeah, it's a little shaky.
That's the magical, like the jumping up, and the number one theory is the jump up and down theory. They say they jumped up and down for succession for the subsequent populations for generation after generation after generation, millions of years. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing too. Time. They use time to solve all ills and all problems with evolution, which don't make no damn sense.
Time is a magical power.
Oh,
now,
yeah, I was about to say, oh, it's magic.
Because
now
we all tend to destruction. Oh, the time is the enemy. More time, things degrade over time. We see a loss of information in the organism.
So let me be the Darwin. Okay, so let me be the Darwinist right now, since there's no Darwinist. I'm gonna be the Darwinist. Now, evolution does not mean better. You were this way, like a million years ago, but over time you begot better, right? They don't really say it. It's like
I got to stop you there, Alvin. Being able to become avian is better. I don't care what you say. I wish I was avian. What are you talking about? This nigga is lost his mind. Matter of fact, it wouldn't be called survival of the fittest now, would it? Doesn't natural selection
that's
be survival of the fittest?
Now wait a minute.
The best fitted organism is the one that's going to be able to pass on its genes.
Yeah, but that's neo-Darwinism.
Over time.
I think that's neo-Darwinism. That's something different from the evolution.
Well, evolution is talking about the best fitted to survive.
Well, but there's some things that happen in it that don't really have anything to do with survival. Where it's
so they just upgraded from a Honda to a goddamn Lamborghini.
Like for example, like those animals that are in caves, they'll say, well, hey, we don't need eyeballs anymore. You don't need eyesight anymore. So we're just not going to let you use it.
That's a loss of information, though. That's not evolution.
Right. That is evolution. They say, hey,
hold on, wait.
They call that.
That's not. Hold on. Is that building a novel trait? Is losing your fucking vision building a novel trait?
Yes, because then they say that increases other areas. Like with bats, they start using that echolocation thing, whatever, right? So their argument. Their argument is
whales. Hold on, whales use echolocation too. They can see. They're not fucking blind.
No, but that's just an example of
You have cetaceans that
Evolution.
use. Hold on, bro. You have cetaceans that use echolocation, bro.
But no, listen what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that
No, you're
you could
not saying that.
losing information is a part of evolution according to evolutionists.
Yeah, okay,
Say,
I
hey,
understand. I understand it's a part of evolution, but a lot of these evolutionary processes have organisms gaining information. Let's go to the beginning. Hold on. Let's go to the beginning. Bacterium, unicellular organisms becoming multicellular organisms. That's gaining information.
I know, but sometimes
Becoming
it's gaining and losing. Basically, their argument, since I'm going to be the evolutionist just to make the show interesting, their argument is that it's completely environmental pressure, not necessarily about something getting better. So if you're in the
Okay, if it
cave,
is about environmental pressure, why haven't sea otters turned to why haven't sea otters turned to fucking whales yet?
Because there hasn't been anything in their environment that is making their physiology want to get bigger. It's like they're surviving.
Aquatic.
No,
what do you mean? That's their environment.
Hold on. But their environment is like you're completely fine the way you are. Just like crocodiles. Crocodiles have been looking the same for damn near 400 million years. Okay.
That's called
if not, I think actually
support evolution.
Hold on. Correct me if I'm wrong. I actually think crocodiles are older than the dinosaurs. I think they are. Somebody fact check. Okay. Somebody fact check.
Dinosaurs came on the scene with 260 million.
Yeah, it's something like that. I think crocodiles might actually be older than dinosaurs.
Let me see. Crocodilian. Let me look it up.
Yeah, look that up.
But that's a loss of information because they were way, way bigger.
Yeah, but they're basically looking the same for over 100 million years.
That's called stasis.
Yeah,
they're not older than dinosaurs. They're not older than dinosaurs. They 95 million years ago. They're in the late Cretaceous.
Okay, they're not older.
So they're not in the Jurassic or Triassic periods at all. Okay, well, yeah. Hold on. Which one goes first? Let me look at my geological time chart. Let's see.
So 95. Okay, we'll start there. 95.
Oh, they right there. They contemporary, pretty much. What kind of?
Yeah, they seen the dinosaurs 95 million years ago. There's enough.
They come in the Cretaceous period. They're in the Mesozoic. They start in the Mesozoic.
Okay, yeah. So that's a long time. They've been looking the same. Now, the reason the evolution is saying they looking the same is their method and way of living is pretty solid. Listen, I'm gonna hang out in the water. I'm gonna eat whatever comes and tries to get a drink. There's no need for you to change into anything.
But Alvin, all all organisms show stasis in the fossil record. All of them. Goddamn jellyfish been a jellyfish for 600 million years.
Right about that.
So when when are we gonna start seeing creatures gain information?
I'm trying my best to be a Darwinian, man. Okay, give me a break, God.
I'm trying
to be a Darwinian.
All right, man.
Let me see here. Oh,
you know, never believe it's not so. It's magic, you know.
Hey, look.
In order for Darwinian evolution to work, you have to show me examples of creatures gaining novel traits.
Hey, not to get off topic, but you play that song remind me. I remember our brother Kevin, man. He was debating Khontinued, and they kept saying he was flipping his thing. They start playing the Flipper theme song. Flipper.
Oh.
That was kind of funny. Nah, but Look, man, you gotta get a Darwinian. I'm gonna find one. I'm gonna get. I'm gonna put it.
That started abiogenesis, or right after abiogenesis, actually, rather, a unicellular organism. In order for that unicellular organism to become a multicellular organism, it needs novel traits, it needs new information, it needs the genomic data to duplicate, right? And aggregate, correlation, all that good stuff, right? And these transposons to be able to read the information. It needs all this information. It needs to gain. It needs to constantly gain, and then eventually become the progenitor of the flora, the progenitor of the fauna, the metazoa, the protozoa, so on and so forth. That's a gain of information. We never see a gain of information in nature. We only see creatures losing information.
Now, to me, the abiogenesis discussion is actually more interesting than the evolution one, because how did you get this non-living stuff to start moving around, mate, and have offspring and all of that? That's the one they ain't really got no answer. They ain't got no answer other than, hey, you got a primordial soup and a lightning struck it, and then it started moving around.
Man, yeah, primordial soup, bacterium, you know what I'm saying? But nobody can tell us where the hell it came from.
Who cooking? What kind of soup?
Primordial soup, brother.
Oh, primordial soup. That shit sound good. Some salt on it. Some pepper.
Ugh.
Hey man, I'm trying to find that clip of Encode when he basically said ain't no tree of life. Remember that? And Dawkins over there.
That's Craig Ventus.
Craig Ventus, thank you.
Yeah, that's Craig Ventus. He tells Richard Dawkins there's no tree of life. I think that's what it's called, something like that.
Yeah, man. YouTube probably got rid of it. Oh, let me see if it's still up.
No, I think it's still up.
Oh, you think the tree of life is still up?
No. Let me see.
When he was sitting down,
he was talking to Darwin, Lawrence Krauss.
Yeah, Krauss.
Yeah.
Let me look up Dawkins. I can't find that clip, man. Hey, but basically he shut down that whole abiogenesis talk, man. There you go. There, I got it.
You found it?
Yeah, let me share my stream. Let me share my stream, man. Look at this.
It's called Craig Ventus Denies Common Descent.
Alvin a sucker, boy. He got out of here quick, did he?
I'm not so sanguine as some of my colleagues here that there's only one life form on this planet. We have a lot of different types of metabolism, different organisms. I wouldn't call you the same life form as the one we have that lives in pH 12 base that would dissolve your skin if we dropped you in it. Oh, I've got the same.
And see, that's common sense stuff, man. That's why.
That's why he said it laughing.
Right. That's why any argument that undermines rationality should be disregarded. You understand? Like, this is crazy.
Same genetic code will have a common ancestor. Well, you don't have the same genetic code. In fact, the mycoplasmas use a different genetic code and it would not work in your cells. So there are a lot of variations on the gene.
Look how stupid he looked.
Well,
man, he couldn't. Like, every point this dude is making, Dr. Craig Ventus is just pretty much slicing his ass up. It's like, no, we don't have the same genetic code.
People got to understand who Dr. Craig Ventus is. He's the guy who is inventing synthetic life, okay? He's the foremost authority on the subject in the world. Like, that's why they can't question anything he say, and they not pushing back on him when he says it.
Right. And really, that's a stupid-ass question. He just, proposed to him. Duh, nigga, we got different genetic, makeup and codes and genomic data, man.
If we can't survive in the same environments, that'd be necessary.
Right.
That's basic.
Yeah, I mean, this shit started getting silly, man.
I think the tree of life is an artifact of some early scientific studies that aren't really holding up.
It's antiquated. It's antiquated. That shit out of date, man.
You left out the best part. He was about to say.
Oh yeah.
So the tree.
Wait, back it up a little bit.
Some early scientific studies that aren't really holding up. So the tree.
So he said those scientific studies are not really holding up.
Mm-hmm.
So why am I debating this next week?
He probably gonna watch it tonight and call off the debate.
Yeah.
There may be a bush of life. Yes, bush.
I don't like that word.
Yeah, because you gay.
Man, that shook his faith, man. I don't like that word. It shook your damn faith.
Nah, he's just really gay.
So there is not a tree of life, and in fact, from our deep sequencing of organisms, out of now we have about 60 million different unique gene sets.
You hear that?
We found
60
12
million?
And he put that word unique on it.
Yep. So then they gotta explain this.
Very, very deep branching, perhaps fourth domain of life. That obviously is extremely rare, that it only shows up out of those few sequences.
And in a domain of life tells you right there, it comes from completely different branches of life whatsoever. That's why he explained it to them that, no, they don't have the same type of DNA. They don't have the same type of genetic structure because they're completely different forms of life.
Right. I think that's the issue they're having with classifying octopus, because they don't know where the hell it came from. They had an alien theory. It came from some kind of alien predecessor. It's all crazy stuff because it doesn't have any, I guess the genetic structure, the genomic data is not as similar as they would hope it would be, which what you would need with, common ancestry, everybody coming from a damn bacterium.
DNA based, but the diversity we have in the DNA world, I'm not so sanguine and ready to throw out the DNA world. I think we're going to, maybe like Richard was saying, we're going to find the same molecules and the same base systems wherever we look.
You, in fact, had a comment you wanted to make, Richard.
Well, it's rather moved on. I was just going to say I can't imagine why anyone should think it was an ethical problem. I could see why they might think it was a problem of expediency. You might fear that it would, escape and overrun the program. But ethical problem, I can't see. Well, I'm now intrigued by Craig saying it.
That's God letting them know you on that BS.
And then he said it's a expediency problem. It should go out and spread. See, they don't want anything to go out there and challenge their goddamn dogma, man.
So they need more time. That's what he's saying.
Right. We don't want it to go out and spread. We don't want the word to go out. What kind of shit is it?
Yeah, it wasn't millions of years. It was tens of millions.
Yeah. You pretty much need because life on Earth is 600 million years old, according first organisms diverging and populating and all that good stuff. You need fucking 10 billion? I was reading this last night to get enough mutations to change one animal to a new animal form. You understand? So it's like that's almost as old as the damn universe. Golly. This shit's silly, bro.
I'm intrigued with Craig saying that the tree of life is a fiction. The DNA code which is genetically looked at is all but identical, and surely that means.
Dun, 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 dun.
Doesn't it?
Look how you laughing at him. Like this nigga an idiot.
Yeah. That means they're all related, right? Hell no, man.
You didn't hear shit I just said, huh? I just said it's almost a fourth domain of life, man. It's not the same. Dang, man, that's
Hey,
crazy.
shout out D-Red, man. D-Red, come on the show, bro. He said, you notice how he making the information plain and simple, and he not talking over the people's head to sound smart. Yeah, no, he trying to be direct. He trying to be direct. You know what else who do that? Douglas Axe does that real well.
And you know what that's called? That's called wisdom. When someone can take something very complicated and make it so simple everybody can understand.
Yeah. Yeah, but sometimes I don't like that oversimplifying stuff, because that's why we had these fights on this Darwinian bullshit, because niggas simplify shit, like saying a chicken looked like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Therefore, ta-da, the chicken came from a Tyrannosaurus Rex. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
called foolishness. See, one is oversimplifying it, and the other one is just simplifying it. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? Like Zion told me a bat got fingers. He has fingers in his bat wings, so that means that he evolved from a land terrestrial creature. I'm like, come on, man. What's the function of those goddamn fingers, man? Or what you're calling fingers? What's the function of it? I be trying to make people argue from functionality, not fucking homology. You understand? It's really a homoplasty that you're looking at, because it may look the same, but it has a different goddamn function. Yeah, man. Where the hell? I mean, so that's why I don't like Alvin, man. Alvin is not a good. He not dependable, brother. That brother not. Huh?
You know Alvin, man. He be working and online and talking and running around all at the same time.
Man, I ain't gonna give him that. Oh, let's do our commentary on this one. That's what we'll do. Nobody showed up. Have you seen this? You probably have. The mathematical challenges to Darwin.
Yeah, I've seen it.
All right, so cool.
Which one?
The one with David Berlinski and Stephen
they
Meyer.
all sitting around at the and talking to each other, or it's just one-on-one?
They all talking to each other and talking to the moderator.
Okay, let me see this one, because I think I seen this one, but it's another one I like. But go ahead.
Welcome to Uncommon Knowledge. I'm Peter Robinson, shooting today in Fiesole, a town in the hills above Florence, Italy. With me today, three guests.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
A philosopher, mathematician, and author.
So these three, see, this is the thing, man. I like bringing up people like Stephen Meyer, which has his master's in philosophy of science. David Berlinski also, I believe he's a doctorate. And the other guy is a doctorate in I think computer engineering or something like that. Because people say, oh, what's your credentials? What's your credentials? But you get these people that got the credentials, that got their doctorates, and you guys still don't agree with them. So it ain't got nothing to do with their credentials, man.
And David Berlinski is an agnostic.
Right. He not fully sold on intelligent design or a creator. He just know Darwin is some bullshit. Another guy like that is Thomas Nagel. You know what I'm saying? He don't believe in naturalism to the point where the way Darwinian evolutionists do. He's like, there's so many holes in it. He keeping it real.
Like logic and reasoning shouldn't even exist on a fully Darwinian sect, because we should evolve not for truth value, but just simple survival value.
Right.
So
What was
anything,
that? What was that clip that I didn't mean to cut your wisdom, but it just popped in my head. What was that clip with Stephen Hawkins got stumped? Remember he had no answer?
Stephen Hawkins or Richard Dawkins?
Richard Dawkins, yeah.
It's with the white girl. The white girl stump him. Let me see if I can find that.
Yeah, we'll play that one.
Just look up. It's shorter, so you might want to play that one, because this one lasts at least almost an hour.
Yeah. I was trying to get the highlights. Yeah. Richard Dawkins when he had no answer. I think it was about light.
Yeah, she was asking how did it what mechanism works for gaining information over time.
Yeah. I can't be sure. Right here. Nah, this ain't it, is it? Nah. Look at this. Somebody as intelligent as Jesus would have been an atheist. And that's another thing too. Naturalists equate intelligence
Hey,
with
put in Richard Dawkins cannot answer the question.
all right. Yeah, there it
That
is.
first one right there.
Can you give an example of a genetic mutation or an evolutionary process which can be seen to increase the information in the genome?
He's like, shit.
There isn't one.
He's like, nobody's ever asked me that before.
Can you just stop while I think? Okay. There's a popular misunderstanding of evolution which says that fish turned into reptiles and reptiles turned into mammals, and so somehow we ought to be able to look around the world today and look at our ancestors. We ought to be able to see the intermediates between fish and reptiles. And
that's how you don't answer a question.
Fish kind of on the way to becoming
So he did not answer the question. And this is what I was telling Alvin. Why can't we never see a gain of information? We always see a loss of information. Showing me a creature that went in a cave and lost his goddamn sight. Damn, he lost his information. He didn't gain no damn information. Why we never see these new information, new novel traits that you would need for Darwinian evolution to work? Because if you're saying a non-avian creature becomes an avian creature, that's a lot of goddamn information that it needs. That's a lot of genomic data, new DNA, all that. New sequences, new protein folds to create them new body plans and morphometrics. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you can't get this answer, but they want to tell you evolution is a fact.
Hey, let's go to this one before we go to that one. Go to Richard Dawkins, Ben Stein, Intelligent Design, and watch Richard Dawkins admit that there's a signature on the DNA that would show for design, but the way he tried to explain it just is magic, man. Because look, if we got an invisible Sky Daddy, then he got invisible aliens. Because we ain't never
This
seen
the one
them
I was thinking about, bro. Is this it?
The one with Ben Stein? Yeah.
2 minutes. Yeah, here you go.
Getting to net zero emissions means change.
Oh, shit.
Discover more.
Goddamn commercials, man.
Well, then who did create the heavens and the earth?
Why do you use the word who? You see, you immediately beg the question by using the word who.
Well, then how did it get created?
Well, by a very slow process.
Well, how did it start?
Nobody knows how it started. We know the kind of event that it must have been. We know the sort of event that must have happened for the origin of life.
What was that?
It was the origin of the first self-replicating molecule.
Right, and how did that happen?
Well, I told you we don't know.
So you have no idea how it started. What do you think is the possibility that intelligent design might turn?
And see, this is what we was talking about. They want to start with life. The origin of life never talks about how it originated. Let's just start with life and go from there. Start with a complete genome sequence, protein folds, transposons, all that stuff, organelles, ribosomes, which is a bunch of proteins, right? That write genetic code. You're going to start with all of that information, but you ain't going to tell her where it came from. That's not naturalism then. Because you're not telling me that this could come from natural processes. You're just saying it's there. just popped into existence.
Yeah, life just pops into existence, and we go from there. Wait, let's hear his explanation, man.
Issues in genetics or in evolution.
It could come about in the following way. It could be that at some earlier time, somewhere in the universe, a civilization evolved by probably some kind of Darwinian means to a very, very
circular reasoning
of technology,
right?
And designed a form of life that they seeded onto, perhaps this planet. Now that is a possibility and an intriguing possibility, and I suppose it's possible that you might find evidence for that if you look at the details of biochemistry, molecular biology. You might find a signature.
You hear that? A signature.
Wait a second.
So now nature making signatures now.
Intelligent design might be a legitimate pursuit.
And that designer could well be a higher intelligence from elsewhere in the universe. But that higher intelligence would itself have had to have come about by some explicable or ultimately explicable process. It couldn't have just jumped into existence spontaneously.
We know that.
Whoa. Go ahead, James. You about to say what I want to say.
No, you got it, man. Go ahead.
I mean, that's contradicting, man. Yeah. That's very contradictory, because you're saying life did pop into existence if you don't put an intelligent designer there, no matter how you spin it, no matter how you say it. Because if you start with the evolution of the universe and you're saying there's no intelligent designer or nothing, that's from nothing, right? There's nothing involved. Mm-hmm. Nothing. What was the the astronomer that said he understands nothing? Which one was that? That wasn't Richard Dawkins. That was
Lawrence Krauss.
Yeah, Lawrence Krauss.
Well, he said the universe came from nothing.
Yeah, so the universe comes from nothing. That's snapping into existence.
Yeah,
and then we get to the first life form or organism on Earth. You're basically saying you don't know where it came from, so now we got to say that snapped into existence. But now you're saying, oh well, creator can't snap. Like, this shit is just self-defeating.
And plus, he keeps saying like, oh well, it would have came about by a Darwinian process. Well, if it was possible that it came about by a Darwinian process, we should have came about by it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The buck got to stop somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And to postulate some aliens in the universe we've never seen before is no different than a person postulating a God. You have to say they're two faith-based positions at this point, because they ain't never seen their alien fathers.
Right. And I still don't know how nature can write a goddamn language with syntax
and leave a signature. It ain't just write a language; it's signed off on it at the bottom.
Right. Non-life chemicals, pretty much, right? Because they do with chemicals, chemosynthesis. They starting to shift it now. They're trying to say life starting to hydrothermal vents, and they did chemosynthesis to create life. So these chemicals came together and came up with the goddamn genomes and DNA code. That don't make no sense, man.
Yeah, that's metaphysically impossible.
Yeah.
Life must come from life. Life cannot come from non-life. That makes no damn sense.
Right. All right, let me see if who in the chat, man. Let me see who in the chat. Okay, nobody in the chat. All right, let me finish this.
That's the point.
So Professor Dawkins was not against intelligent design, just certain types of designers, such as God. So that they
with Facebook shop.
Wait, that's facts though. He just hate God, man. But you know what's crazy? I grew up, I used to love like mythology. That's why I'm so much into like Sumerian mythology, Middle Eastern mythology. I just love that stuff. The primordial god of the Greeks is chaos. You know what I'm saying? So that's who's responsible for everything that's in existence according to the Greeks, the chaos. So I think they just trying to get us to worship chaos again. Their mother deity and their creator.
Right. Let's check Douglas out.
It's fascinating stuff.
Because again, Douglas Act is a PhD, and I'm if I'm not mistaken, from MIT, molecular biologist. Because they always say, "Oh, we need people that's a degreed individual," and we get the degreed people that are more on our side of the argument, and y'all still disregard it. So it ain't got shit to do with their school and their credentials, man.
I'm already you're a little over my head, but I'm trying to keep up. But it's very interesting. So you're doing your work, and is this where your work has been? So on the
And this man basically said he started believing in God or intelligent designer through pursuing molecular biology, because he was studying genomes and studying sequences and protein folds. And it's like, this stuff is way too complicated to just come up by natural processes.
Proteins?
Yes, not on this process of biological synthesis of proteins, but on the question of how much information is contained in a gene. In other words, how hard is it to get a new gene that would make a new one of these is really where I've been focusing.
Right, exactly. And I mean, you not only were able to show that the formation of the protein is extremely rare,
right,
but you also showed that they're not.
Right. He wrote a paper in 2004 that was peer reviewed. I believe it was put in Nature. And to this day, it has not been refuted on the rarity of proteins. And you need proteins to get everything else.
Yeah. RNA.
Yeah.
DNA.
So that's pretty much the root. If it's rare as hell to get a protein, how do you get this notion that everything we see, all of the living organisms we see, come from natural processes? If it's rare as hell to get one, each of your cells have thousands of proteins. This shit
crazy, man. With
this shit
billions of cells, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not evolving anymore?
Well, here's how we did it. So the first project was looking at how much can you mess up in a gene and still get the protein. We didn't talk about folding here, but what that synthesis process that we talked about that uses the genetic code just really gives you a string of amino acids.
Yeah.
It turns out that you have to have a very special sequence of amino acids in order for that string to collapse and form a stable three-dimensional structure, and that's called the protein folding process.
Mm-hmm.
So in cells, almost all of the proteins, well, all of them in their functional form are going to be folded into a specific three-dimensional structure, and we've now cataloged thousands of these different structures, and you can look at the beautiful match between the shape of the thing and what it does. Like if it has to bind to another protein, then the two proteins will fit together, and you can see that in their shapes. If it's doing chemistry, then the molecules that it's working on will bind into a groove inside the protein. So all of this is done by folding to the right shape and then having the right chemistry within that shape.
That sounds calculated, man. Everything he's saying sounds like a calculated being would have to put all that into play. You understand? A programmer, man. So it's like, again, how do you look at this information? You know what I'm saying? And know how proteins work and know how sophisticated a cell is, and come to the conclusion that there's no intelligent designer, there's no programmer, it's just natural processes. You know what I'm saying? Which just matter, and that's it. I don't understand, man.
So my work has been looking at, for a long time, how hard is it to get the sort of sequence that will do this at all? And I did that by taking one of these folded proteins that does chemistry, it's an enzyme, and shuffling really the amino acids within different regions of this, and then putting bacterial cells that have the shuffled versions into a test environment and scoring them, finding out what fraction of those that have been shuffled still work. And so you can get a fraction by doing that. And by making some careful assumptions about what you're looking at, you can then use those fractions to infer, well, what if the whole thing had been shuffled? What fraction would work then? And when you do that, you end up with a very, very, very tiny fraction, something like 1 in a trillion, 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 trillion. Very, very small. So small that there really should be no way that these things are stumbled upon by accident.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. My bad, my mic unplugged.
Oh,
But
I was about to say, I thought something happened on my screen.
did you hear what he said last? He tested to see if he could come up with the right sequence on accident, and he found out that it's pretty damn hard, unfeasible to even make that happen, which is what you would need for Darwinian processes to even work. It's what you need for abiogenesis, an accident, because again, there's nobody directing this. There's no programmer. There's no prime mover in the naturalist world. So it had to be an accident. It's not something that was directed. And it's damn near impossible to make this happen. That's what the man has came up with through his studies and his findings.
And then you ended up taking your findings and it was published.
That particular finding was published in the Journal of Molecular Biology in 2004.
And how was that?
You also talked about the idea that it's not that things aren't evolving anymore, and that came from another set of studies that we've done with colleagues. So Ann Gager and I look at. You can think of that first result as measuring the difficulty of stumbling upon an entirely new folded form. It's called a fold.
Yeah.
Because to get that, you have to get the gene that has the sequence right to fold. And that's really what I measured to be 1 in 10 to the 77th or 74th power. 1 in a trillion, 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 trillion. Another question.
You see how many that 1 in a trillion, 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 trillion? That's how rare it is to get that protein fold in that sequence. So how the hell do you get life from natural processes? How?
That's what we call a big ass number.
Right. That's why I said this shit is magical, man. What's the likelihood? And this is why they're proposing the multiverse, because they know this shit is unfeasible. So they say, okay, if we got a trillion universes, 1 out of a trillion, we're just the one that just so happened to get it right. You know what I'm saying? We're the one that, this one was too hot, this one's too cold, Goldilocks just right. That's why they propose these silly ass scientific models, because they're trying to get around the fact that naturalism doesn't work, man. Things don't just pop into existence. Things don't just happen by pure chance and accident. So now they're saying, okay, well, if we got a trillion universes, we can make all these different universes. We can say, okay, the other universes got it wrong, but we're the one that got it right. Magical shit, man.
Hey, look, man, look. They say that our bones are becoming lighter, man, and that our temperatures dropping by like 0.5 degrees, brother. We evolving. Now that sounds like we dying. That's what it sounds like to me. Your body getting cold, your bones getting weak. You about to die, homie.
If you look at these natural enzymes, you will find examples where there are two enzymes that are doing different functions. We'll call them A and B, but their structures are so similar that you could arrange them on a computer and align them, and they look very much like they're very similar. They're not identical. But we say they have the same fold. So the overall structure is very similar. And we've been asking whether you can, with mutation and selection, get a transition from A to B function. And a lot of other people have been doing work in this area, but they're usually assuming that this explains how all these A and B enzymes came to be in the first place. Whereas we're willing to say, okay, let's not assume that. Let's just go see if you can get an A to convert into a B. And when we did this, we picked what seems to be a very favorable case. We find through extensive study that, in fact, you can't get the A that we looked at to convert into B, not in billions of years. So the evolutionary story.
Not in billions of years. Listen to him. Not in billions. You need trillions. Wait a minute.
Right.
The universe is what? 13.8 billion. If you go with the faster expansion rate, is 12.5 billion years old. You need more time than the universe itself to get one of these A to B mutations. And that's just one. Come on, man.
That these transitions work. We've called into question and we say there's actually no reason to believe they do work. Now, when we do that, one of the responses, it's really become the main response, has been, well, enzymes don't evolve anymore. There was an older version. So you're looking at A and B, but those are both modern enzymes.
Hold on. Listen to that explanation right there. That explanation deserved that, man. That was well warranted because that's what they always do. Make up some shit when they get caught in the corner. Oh, well, yeah, okay, yeah. In the present day, that's true. But, back then, this ancestral bullshit I just came up with, it doesn't function that way. What are you basing it off of? My ass. You got it out your ass.
There was some older version, a C or an A prime or something, that gave rise to both of those.
Yeah.
And that was an evolvable protein, but the modern ones don't evolve anymore. They've been so perfected by natural selection that you can't expect them to evolve. But when we're scratching our heads saying, okay, so this is now a hypothetical theory about hypothetical proteins.
Hey, they love to do that. Throw hypothetical on the hypothetical on the hypothetical and be like, look, man, all this hypothetical shit, something got to be true. And if something true, all of it got to be true.
Yeah. Oh, I got to hear that shit again. That was a classic.
Perfected by natural selection that you can't expect them to evolve. But when we're scratching our heads saying, okay, so this is now a hypothetical theory about hypothetical proteins. We were testing initially a hypothetical idea about real things, but now it becomes a hypothetical idea about hypothetical things, which becomes very hard. Very hard to test.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of punctuated equilibrium or something.
How the hell do you test it? Yeah, that's a good question. How the hell you test a hypothetical?
Yeah. thought experiments. That's all you can use.
Where it's just, it seems ad hoc, maybe.
Yeah, it's a term you give to something where you should really step back and say, maybe we don't know what we're talking about.
God damn. I'm glad he said it because, these brothers respect PhDs, right? This brother PhD.
Ones they like.
Exactly. There you go. The ones they like.
The ones that agree with them already.
Yeah. He said, maybe we don't know what the fuck we talking about.
Hypothetical by the hypothetical by the hypothetical. I'm going to start arguing like that.
Having, interacting with people and giving them the benefit of the doubt. Again, people on the other side of the fence.
Right.
I tend to see this, and you even bring up Neil deGrasse Tyson as an example.
Yeah.
But, it's the science. It's the science. Wherever the science leads, that's kind of like the marching beat there. But when you then show something that is quantifiable, something that you've done in the field, why not accept? Or were there any evolutionists that looked at this and said, wow, this is a problem and we're going to wrestle with this and digest this finding?
People tend not to say that publicly. So some of them might have been scratching their heads and saying, okay, this sounds like it's a problem. I interpret it as having been a problem when the response is one that looks kind of desperate. So saying that, okay, genes no longer evolve, proteins no longer evolve, but they did once, that sounds desperate to me. So I did recognize that there's a problem. At least what has happened, and I take some comfort in this, no one has come back and said, you're wrong, you messed up.
You can't. You can't. And that man's paper has yet to be refuted. It's been peer reviewed.
That's what happens when you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we be putting out them videos. Nobody ever come back and answer. Yeah, after you tell the truth, you gotta shut up and just say they don't like you.
Yeah,
talk about you.
Yeah. Oh, you believe in that Sky Daddy? Hey man, shout out to Ratchet Craig, man. Where the hell he at tonight? That nigga is something else, man.
Nah, he take off running every time I show up. That's what he did last time I popped up. He took off running.
Yeah, we not dealing with science. This is a molecular biologist. All we do is talk about science. If you think about it, majority of our conversation, James, be science centered.
Science, history, archaeology. That's all we be talking about.
Yeah.
That A to B transition works perfectly well. And I think the reason no one did that is because they knew that if they said that, we would say to them, show us the mutations. We've now studied this for years. If you think this works.
And that's what we do, James. We be like, man, show us this shit. Niggas can't give us the source code for genomes. Niggas can't tell us where the first organ. All this shit, man. We asking for direct evidence, and we just supposed to believe the shit. We just supposed to believe it, man. Just believe it and follow it, bro. Y'all sound like. Never believe it's not so.
Show us how it works. And neither has anyone said that we're wrong to say that these things are not readily accomplished, because this new position that in fact modern enzymes are not evolvable the way the old ones were is really an acknowledgement that no one is going into the lab and finding that these things work the way we thought they would work 20 years ago. And now that so many people have studied these, they really don't work.
Right. And then too, originally, is this not, I mean, Darwin's proposal originally, and the way that it was understood originally as it was accepted by the scientific community, I mean, there was a fluidity that is supposed to go on ad infinitum, right?
Sure. So he described natural selection as being something that's constantly scrutinizing life, constantly sifting, constantly looking for the better variant, and constantly replacing the worst one with the best one.
See, that's what I said. That's what I thought Darwinian evolution was. Making the best one, or replacing the worst one, like he said, with the best one. That's what I was trying to tell Brother Alvin earlier, man.
Survival of the fittest is what it's called, huh?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Well, evolution ain't really mean better. I'm like, damn, shit. When I was taught the shit in school, that's how they taught it to me. The most fit animals survive and pass its traits down, and that's how evolution, descent with modification, came to pass. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Alvin, man. He need to bring his ass back in the show.
So he viewed it as something that was always at work. And I think even your sort of traditional orthodox Darwinists to this day, Richard Dawkins would certainly believe that it's constantly at work.
The boy called him orthodox.
That
you said what?
I said that boy called him orthodox.
Yeah, because it's a goddamn religion.
Modern genes no longer evolve. I think he would find that to be strange, and a number of sort of traditional orthodox Darwinists would as well. But the people who are actually dealing with the data are having to come to terms with the fact that no one can actually show how this evolution works. And so we have to come up with a way of saying that we got here by a process that did work, but the way we got here has made it so it no longer does work.
Oh man. Oh man, that sounds like another explanation I heard. Evolution. Why we don't see intermediates throughout the fossil record is because evolution happens too fast. Why we don't see evolution in the present because it happens too slow.
Yep.
It's like they get it both ways. It's too slow in the present, too fast in the past. Stop it. Stop it. This shit is crazy, man. This shit is crazy. Let's go to Jonathan Wells, man. I'm disappointed that the con man didn't come through like he said he was. I'm very disappointed. But I'm not
Don't worry, he'll do a show about you in a couple of days.
Yeah, like you always do, right? You can do a show about me and shit. Talk shit about me, but you can't sit up here and confront me. That's some what's a nice word? What's a collegiate word for that?
Bam. Bam.
Oh man. I got Jonathan Wells on the zombie science. Quick one. Right here, junk DNA myth. What is junk DNA?
In my new book, Zombie Science, I touch on the issue of junk DNA, so-called junk DNA, about which I wrote another book several years ago, The Myth of Junk DNA. When the function of DNA was first being worked out, biologists realized that only about 2% of our DNA, of human DNA, codes for proteins. And even then, as I point out elsewhere in the book, it doesn't completely code for protein even then. But 98% of our DNA, apparently to them, had no function at all. And so Richard Dawkins and others argued that it was just a leftover from evolution, like a harmless parasite that just hitched a ride on the DNA that actually did something. And so for many years they argued that 98% of our DNA was junk, and that this provided evidence for evolution. Jerry Coyne has argued this way. Francis Collins argued this way in a book called The Language of God. And yet, in the last 15 years, we've discovered that this so-called junk DNA actually serves some very important functions. The year after I published The Myth of Junk DNA in 2011, a project called ENCODE, or Encyclopedia of DNA Elements, came out with a whole bunch of papers documenting functions for the 98% of our DNA that does not code for protein. And the functions have just increased since then. I mean, hardly a month goes by when some other element of so-called junk DNA is not reported to be functional. Now, interestingly enough, defenders of Darwinian evolution still insist that it's junk. They say that the measures of function used by the ENCODE team, namely that it produces RNA, or it mainly...
And throughout these two videos that we watch, because they always say that our side has cognitive dissonance, but it's you niggas and your side that's constantly explaining away information, constantly, if not disregarding it, ignoring it and doing special pleading, like with the protein folds and how rare it is to get it. You need 1 trillion years. You understand? Or coming up with some kind of, like saying, oh, there was an ancestral gene that could evolve and now our genes don't. Like just making shit up as you go. So what side really deals with cognitive dissonance? It's you Darwinians out, you neo-Darwinists out there, man. It's y'all. It ain't our side. Because as soon as the evidence come out, you guys making up shit, explaining away, are you special plead? And that's what they did with the junk DNA. For years, they said it was junk DNA. There's evolutionary leftovers. It's proof of evolution. Then as soon as we found out it was functionality within that quote-unquote junk DNA, now you're trying to find a new way to get around it.
That's the main function, actually. It has a biochemical function. Are not really functions when you look at things from an evolutionary perspective. And since nothing in biology makes sense except in the eyes of evolution, in the light of evolution, according to them, it's still junk. So there's a controversy right now between people who study the actual functions of DNA and those who insist that evolutionary theory is true no matter what. The latter, to me, is a form of zombie science. Well, the ENCODE scientists
Or magic.
are just good scientists doing their work to
Magic.
find out how something works. I don't know most of them, frankly, personally, but I don't know any of them that would be called creationists or even intelligent design proponents. So they're just doing their work and reporting their evidence. What they're not doing is they're not allowing evolutionary dogma to dictate their results.
Exactly. And that's why you got people like Craig Venters. He don't give a damn what the status quo is. He gonna tell you what his findings is. I don't see no goddamn tree of life. And with this, I don't see no junk DNA. This shit functional. You know what I'm saying? But you need junk DNA. You need tree of life to make evolution make sense. So instead of going with the research and the findings, what you do? Special plead.
And I bet every school science book still got that damn tree of life in it.
It do. It do. And they still teach junk DNA and all that other bullshit. Evolutionary leftovers.
And that, to me, makes them good scientists.
Exactly, because that's what science is supposed to be about. It shouldn't. It should just be off observation. Because what's happening is it's this preconceived notion shit. You know what I'm saying? They going in looking for evolution instead of letting the data show them evolution. There's a big difference. So it's like, who really the religious ones when it comes to this, man? We all know who the religious side is. The very overtly religious side is these goddamn Darwinists. These Darwinists.
Dogmatic as hell.
Dogmatic, man. Making up shit as you go. As soon as you run into a problem, you just make up a goddamn solution right then and
Man,
there.
how can we say they learn how to fly? They just kept jumping.
Yeah.
Look, you jump long enough, your bones get hollow, man. Build air sacs in them.
Yeah.
Sprout some wings. And then you start to hover.
Right.
You flap instead of hover. Next thing you know, you flying, baby.
Right. You get feathers, you get the gland.
And anybody that can't fly, just like the birds do, push their ass off a cliff. You fly or die. Evolution ends for your line if you can't fly, baby.
Where is it at? Yeah, this is a good one right here. The killer whales destroyed Darwin's theory of evolution. And again, Jonathan Wells is a biologist.
That's not a killer whale, man. That's a wolf. They swam in the ocean with the mermaids. You know what I'm saying? And then they became, them, and I guess the mermaids died off. Or they probably still down there. Never know.
Right. If what the Greeks taught about these half creatures, right? Because they had a lot of what was it called? It was like a half
centaurs,
yeah. Right. So you had these what we would call mythical creatures, but as I'm reading, about evolution and what they're proposing, it's pretty much the same thing.
Hey, I told you they advocating the ancient Greek ways. They just dressing it up. The creator of all is the goddess of chaos. You know what I'm saying? They got these mythical creatures and shit.
Right.
Next thing you know, they're gonna pull out a centaur on us.
Yeah.
Brother, minotaurs are real, brother.
Yeah, this is the common ancestor of all horses and fucking, I don't know, goddamn it, human. I can't even say hominids.
Yeah,
apes
the
and
common
horses.
ancestor of horses and humans.
Yeah.
It's just the humans drop their ass off.
Yeah. shit, man.
When Darwin was alive, there were two different species of fossil whales that had been found. And everyone assumed that they had descended from land animals, everyone who believed in evolution. But there were no...
Wait a minute, I gotta say this. Don't that sound ass backwards? I thought everything came out the oceans. Now everything gotta come from land to the oceans.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, they based it off of, well, where do you find all the mammals at?
I feel you, but you know, they had to follow somebody into the ocean, bro. It was a merman, I'm telling you.
And whales are not the only mammals in the water. Like, that don't make sense. You got sea lions and shit.
Yeah, but they still evolving. You know, them human beings, they got them extra eyelids, and so they can see underwater. They descend from mermaids. I'm just saying. This shit magic, my nigga. So I'm starting to think that, you know, the Greek myths are real.
Yeah. And I feel like the Darwinian scientists, they pretty much make it harder on themselves. Why would you start with a whale to make a case for evolution? I would have started with like a sea lion or something. You know what I'm saying? Or why would you? What's another good one? Why would you start with like a dinosaur becoming a bird? Like, how hard is that? I would have said a pterosaur became a bird. It just grew feathers. You know what I'm saying? I would have said some shit like that. I could make more sense of that.
They do say when humans domesticate animals, they become smaller. That's what they say.
I think that's true, right?
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's why domesticated animals are smaller than wild animals. Don't know why, but it's true.
Shit, I don't want no big ass animals either. Goddamn, that's a good thing.
Probably how the saber-tooth died off.
About a wolf-sized land animal was found in Pakistan that didn't look at all like a whale, but it had a bone in its ear, in its middle ear, that up to that point had only been found in whales and dolphins, which go by the Latin name cetaceans, from the Latin word for whale, cetus. So this wolf, solely on the basis of that ear bone, was named Pakicetus, or Pakistani whale, even though for all other intents and purposes it was like a wolf.
And this is why we should know this word right here, homoplasy, because this is what the evolutionists do. They look for similar bones, similar structures, and then infer ancestry on that fossil. Look, it says a homoplasy is a character shared by a set of species but not present in their common ancestors. A good example is the evolution of the eye, which has originated independently in many different species. When this happens, it's sometimes called a convergence. So homoplasy doesn't mean that they got that trait from a common ancestor, but it was developed individually. So just because you see a certain feature in one organism doesn't mean it descended directly from another organism. There you go back.
Evolution 101 terminology.
So it became the supposed ancestor of whales, and in the years following, other fossils were found, mostly around Pakistan, for example, one was found that had feet, walked on all fours, but it had a long tail like a river otter as well. And it was named Ambulocetus natans, or walking, swimming whale. And then some other fossils were found, and pretty soon there was a series of them. And the ones between Pakicetus and the modern fully aquatic whales were called walking whales because they had feet and were apparently able to walk on land. Stephen Jay Gould at one point called this the sweetest series of transitional fossils an evolutionist could ever hope to find. So in my book, Zombie Science, I have a chapter on the so-called walking whales. The problem with the series, the fossil series, which is supposed to be, everything an evolutionist could hope for, is that the so-called walking whales are actually more like sea lions or more sea otters than whales. They live mainly on land. They give birth on land. Certainly, they spend a great deal of time in the water. But whales have to spend their entire lives in the water. And that requires something quite different from what it takes to make.
He's about to go into the biomechanics of the creature. You understand? That's why I don't do that lookership shit. What's the function of the creature? How does it function?
They didn't even do lookership. They just was like, they got an ear bone.
Yeah.
My nigga, you got an ear bone. Let's throw it in the mix.
That's how desperate this shit is. Like Douglas Axe says, it's like these scientists get desperate.
Yeah, they gotta make it work, man. Got that ear bone, bro.
Like we read an article, what was it, 2-3 days ago? They said we know we descend from this reptile because it has mammalian teeth. That was the evidence.
They got them teeth, dog. Throw it in the mix.
Man, that warrant, you know what that warrants? That warrants a
good old magic.
That's some magical ass shit right there, boy.
Oh, it's magic. You know. Never believe it's magic. It's magic. You know. Never believe it's magic.
Oh, that's some magical shit, man. Goddamn, a set of dentures means that's grandpa. Oh, goddamn. All right, let's listen to the biologist.
Like a sea lion or a sea otter. Whales, true whales, that is fully aquatic whales, have flukes. That's their tail. It looks like a flipper, but it's not a flipper. It's not a passive piece of skin like a skin diver's flipper would be. It's actually full of tendons that connect it to muscles in the back of the whale, in the tail, the full tail. And the fluke is therefore active in driving the whale through the water. It's not just a passive flipper. The whale's lungs are very different from land animals. They actually collapse when the whale dives. They have liquids inside them that enable them to reinflate very rapidly when the whale comes to the surface. Whales breathe through, as you know, blowholes on the top of their heads, which is quite different from a sea lion or a sea otter. Whales have to give...
Look like a nose to me.
They have to nurse underwater. And all of these things require adaptations not found in land animals. So
that's the key point. You don't see none of this in land animals, but you presuppose that land animals became whales.
Whoa. You got to become a water animal before you get water features, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But that, again, that's what I was trying to tell the other brother, Zion. That's the Humpty Dumpty problem, because you just can't build this slowly from piece by piece by piece. You need dorsal fins right there. You need a fluke right
Humpty
there.
Dumpty put together again. I've seen it.
You can't break down a whale and be like, look, I'm gonna just add this part every million years. You know what I'm saying? Every million years, I'm gonna give him a fluke. I'm gonna give him these lungs. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give him the because I think it's got a biflow blood system to keep his testicles cool. Like you could, like, that's something he needs right then and there. He can't reproduce. You know what I'm saying? So shit.
But the gap between the so-called walking whales and the true whales anatomically is really quite large. Recently, a whale was found in Antarctica. Actually, it was...
He said the gap between land animals and fully aquatic animals anatomically is quite large. Meaning the necessary changes in the body plans to make it suitable to live in the ocean 100% of the time, like the amount of changes is just not feasible for that animal to get all those changes, man. And this is why I try to make these people explain this shit.
Found a while back, just fully reported recently, The problem with the whale evolution story, or one big problem with it, is that the time in the fossil record between the terrestrial animals, the walking whales, and the fully aquatic whales is very, very short. Before this recent find, it was thought to be 2 to 8 million years, which may sound like
It's 2 to 8 million years, but they found he's going to go into Basilosaurus, which was 49 million years old. Oh, James fell out. Yeah, man. So he's going to go into Basilosaurus. They found him in a rock that was dated, I think, 49 million years ago, which shortens the evolutionary gap.
a lot, but it's not when you consider all the anatomical changes that have to happen. But this recent find of a fully aquatic whale in Antarctica actually shortens that time considerably, down to 1 million years or less. So in a very short period of
So land animals evolved into a whale to about 1 million years or less. So that's fast. When we talking about in the geologic column, in the time, like that is fast for a land animal to get all of those features, all the anatomical changes, and become a fully aquatic organism.
time, these animals had to turn from living mainly on the land to living entirely in the water. That's quite a change to happen in such a short time.
Right. And this is why we keep saying evolution is magic. Darwinian evolution is magic, man. Less than 1 million years to change a land animal, a terrestrial animal, into a complete, fully aquatic animal with features like fins to keep it from rolling, because there are currents in waters. That's why you have fins. It's resistant to rolling. The fluke that drives the massive beast through the water and be able to traverse it. The biflow blood system that keeps his testicles cool. The blowhole, the elasticity of the blowhole, the muscles, all of the features that it needs to survive in that environment. The collapsible lungs, the floating ribs, right? So being able to retain oxygen, all of these things it needs, it got less than 1 million years. Come on, man. Y'all believe in this magical shit? This shit is magical, man. This shit is a fairy tale. Let's get the next one, man.
We put Humpty Dumpty back together.
You want to hear something silly?
You said they put Humpty Dumpty back together.
Put Humpty Dumpty back together again, bro.
Bears can't parallel park. You want to hear something even sillier? Darwin thought that bears could turn into whales. Back in the 1800s, when Darwin first published The Origin of Species, this is exactly what he said. And he was brutally mocked by scientists of his day for thinking something so ridiculous.
As he should have been. I think I brought this up to Uncle Keck, and he was like, Darwin didn't say bears could turn to whales. I said, bro, it's in The Origin of Species. Quoted it to him and everything, man.
Ridiculous. He even retracted the idea from later editions of his book. But here's the kicker. Scientists of today think essentially the same thing. Stupid Darwin thinks bears could have turned into whales. How ridiculous. Everyone knows these wolf, pig, weasel, hippo things are turned into whales.
Oh, shit. Them niggas hit it on point, boy.
My, how the tables have turned. Back in the 80s and the 90s, a series of fossils were found that rocked the evolutionary landscape. Paleontologists thought that they had found a clear transitional series of fossils documenting the evolution of whales. University of Chicago evolutionary biologist Jerry Coyne says in his book Why Evolution is True, whales happen to have an excellent fossil record, courtesy of their aquatic habits and robust, easily fossilized bones. This is one of our best examples of an evolutionary transition. Wow, one of the best. Let's take a look at the story behind whale evolution. Is it a good argument or not? So according to Coyne, whale evolution is such great evidence since we have a chronologically ordered series of fossils, and it goes something like this. The sequence begins with a raccoon-sized animal called Indohyus, living 48 million years ago. 52 million years ago, we see a wolf-sized creature called Pakicetus, which is a bit more whale-like than Indohyus. At 50 million years ago, there's the remarkable Ambulocetus. Rhodocetus, 47 million years ago, is even more aquatic. Finally, at 40 million years ago, we find the fossils of Basilosaurus and Dorodon, before we have our modern whales. Let's take a look a little bit closer at this chronologically ordered series of fossils.
Right, we already see the issue with it.
If you're paying attention, you might be thinking something fishy is going on here, but no, you'd be wrong. That would not be a bad pun because whales are mammals, not fish. But also, yes, something mammally was going on here. Granting the standard Darwinian dates for these fossils, Indohyus is dated as far younger than his supposed descendants, and he's not the only one, more on that later. This is common practice in evolutionary analysis, to ignore where species actually show up in the fossil record and place them wherever makes Darwinian sense.
That's called special pleading. That's a goddamn fallacy, man.
Creating what are called chronological inversions, or ghosts.
Yeah, evolution deals with a lot of ghost lineages. Who just jumped in here?
Yo!
The CEO in the building.
What's good?
Hey man,
what's going on, brethren?
Hey, we killing witches, man. You know the Bible say, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live."
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? We're getting rid of all the goddamn witches. Khontinued was supposed to come through, but this scary ass didn't make it.
So let me get this straight, man. You brothers in here on a modern day witch hunt, man? Is that what you brothers telling me?
Hey man.
Salem witch trials around here.
hey, Matthew 4 verse 4. Man should not live by bread alone, but what? Every word that
proceeded out of the Most High's mouth. That's right, bro.
Okay then. So don't the Bible say, "Thou should not suffer a witch to live," brother?
That's what it say, brother.
All right, man. We killing these witches.
You gotta give me a definition of witch, so I get a fuller understanding, man. I just caught wind of you brothers being on here, so just catch me up a little bit.
Anybody talking some magic shit? They witches.
Oh, okay.
They ain't that what witches do? They speak magic, abracadabra, hocus pocus.
hey, I'm gonna tell you, man. Manipulation too. You understand? Is a form of witchcraft. You understand? Somebody trying to convince you to do some shit against your will. That's witchcraft.
Hey, that's right. And they trying to convince us to believe this Darwin bullshit. That's witchcraft.
Yeah, man. This shit looking like magic, man. And, we can't have these witches and warlocks in our community, y'all.
Let me ask you brothers something, man, because you brothers are the science department of the source. So let me ask you brothers something, man. How was Darwin able to pull this off? Because you got to mix a little bit of truth in order for a lie to be truly successful, correct?
Yeah, I say a little bit. I would say the natural selection portion was true.
Okay.
And he went and expounded from there to say that it could gain information over time instead of losing information over time to better adapt to the area. And we went through earlier and showed the little snippet where the lady asked Richard Dawkins what evidence or what mechanism could he give that could show the gain of information in the genome, and the brother couldn't answer the question.
I can play it right here.
We're gonna play it one more time for the brother.
An example or an evolution process which can be seen to increase the information in the genome?
What happened, man? He stuck. What's going on?
He got stumped.
Man, I gotta hear that question again. I didn't really hear it.
Hey, mute yourself, cause you're giving a little echo feedback, brother, when you're not speaking.
I can't mute myself. That's the only way you're gonna hear it.
No, I'm talking about Jeremiah.
Yeah, no problem. I'm muted.
Can you give an example of a genetic mutation or an evolutionary process which can be seen to increase the information in the genome?
Damn, that man was confounded, boy. Damn.
Hey, Jeremiah, why this huge? Because he like the Michael Jordan of evolution, man.
Yeah, they call him the high priest of Darwinism.
Yeah, he like Aaron, man.
Cohen.
Yeah, he the co-head of the fucking evolution. She came in there and bust his wig open with that question, like
one question.
Yeah, we need to see increase of information in the genome, man. Can you show us that? That nigga sit there stuck.
Can't even give a mechanism for it. Couldn't even make nothing up on the spot.
Right. Caught his ass.
I know he said something though. What the hell was his reply? I'm want to.
Hey, get to the point where he do say something. Go ahead, let it play for a little while. Let's see what he said.
Can you just stop? I think.
There you go. There you go. Can we stop? Hold up.
Yo.
He stopped the recording. They recorded again. And he started talking about something totally different. Totally different. Watch.
That fish turned into reptiles and reptiles turned into mammals, and so somehow we ought to be able to look around the world today and look at our ancestors. We ought to be able to see the intermediate.
Sorry, Richard. That doesn't have shit to do with what she asked you.
To see fish kind of on the way to becoming reptiles. But of course, that's not the way it is at all. Fish are modern animals. They're just as modern as we are. They're descended from ancestors, which we're descended from. Way back 300 million years ago, there would have been an ancestor, which was the ancestor of modern fish and the ancestor of modern.
You see why we on a witch hunt?
Yeah. So let me ask a question concerning that, right? So basically, is this guy and Darwinism promoting that all life comes from a single cell organism that evolved into everything that contains life on planet Earth? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, he believed in the tree of life. That's what the tree of life is. We all share a common ancestor. That's a single cell organism. But the problem is he can't show or prove any evolutionary process that gives you new information. Because when the lady asked him that, he couldn't come up with one goddamn example. You see what I'm saying, Jeremiah? And that's what you need.
Yeah.
If you want an ape to turn to a human, he need a whole bunch of goddamn information, new information to become a human.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Could that be brought about through environment?
Okay. How many times have you went swimming in your life?
A bunch of times.
Okay. How many times? I mean, it's so many. I can just go so many ways with this.
Man, I swore I had a gill growing out my foot, man.
You see where I'm going with this, Jeremiah?
Right.
This is what makes this shit silly and childlike. It's all type of creatures that swim, that do various things. It doesn't mean they're gonna change some goddamn whale, man, or no dolphin, man, because
Well, look,
you took a few dips.
The reason I'm asking this is because this goes back to human evolution and the separation of the races, right? So what they want to tell you and I is that everything started in Africa, and then people started to migrate out of Africa. And when they got into European climate, this when white people started to evolve based upon the climate. This is a very utilize argument when I come across brothers that believe in evolution.
Well, you know as well as I know that Cheddar Man kill all that shit. Cause Cheddar Man was living in the same region.
Finished.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, what if they say he wasn't there long enough to change?
Shit, they say he was there goddamn 20,000 years. These people that I mean, how long you gotta be there? They gotta be there a million years? Like what? Like,
well, you don't. I'm just playing advocate, right? So you
right.
don't see the evolutionary change in Cheddar Man. You wouldn't see it in him. You would start to see it in his descendants. What would you say to that?
I'm gonna be honest, Jeremiah. I believe his descendants did pick up that trait because his descendants mixed with those people. And you know my mom. I believe Esau went into the Japheth territory and mixed with those people. So
right, replacement, population replacement.
Yeah. So yeah, those traits would have through mating and hybridization would have mixed in both populations.
Well, I also want to hear from the scholastic killmonger because he kind of got a different view on that, right? Right, James? Am I wrong about that?
Okay, kind of run it back to me. I was checking on something.
Yeah, no sweat. You know, me and Joshua, we believe in replacement population. I know you do too as well, but I'm saying we believe that Esau migrated there, end up positioning itself and relocating the population based upon certain wars that triggered off. I'm asking you, do you have a slightly different view on the European and Esau?
No, I'm with the three different people's different population groups making up that group, and then you have the people who came in during the Bronze Age, who swept across Europe slowly, mainly settled down in places like Norway and things like that. And I think that those people were, in fact, Edomites, but like Joshua said, they amalgamated with with at least three groups or two other groups of people that was already here. So modern Europeans or amalgamation of three groups, and those three groups actually carry the three separate genes necessary to create a quote unquote white person, as they are.
All right, so last night I was on a show with some New Covenant brothers. You know, Santonio them, right? You know what I'm saying? I'll be over there with Pro Rizzo One. He always bringing me in on some of those conversations. So the brother made a statement. He said that we can't keep, he said we got to keep all the laws, all the 10 commandments. He said we got to keep 9 commandments. We don't have to keep 10. We don't have to keep the Sabbath, right? Because the only way you can keep the Sabbath is in the land, right? So I asked him very simply, when the brother got stoned and killed for picking up sticks on the Sabbath, was they in Jerusalem? So the brother gave this long pause. I was like, yo, crickets, what's going on? He's like, oh, no, I was on mute, brother. So what happened is that was a practice run leading into what was supposed to be kept in the land. Well, I'm going to ask you, brothers, isn't that a contradiction, or am I out of my mind?
I mean, I would just look at the scriptures where he tells us to do this anywhere he scatters us, anywhere he sends us within our villages, and that would just blow that right out the water.
Right. So, this other brother on there, right, insisted on trying to corner me. The reason I brought that Sabbath thing up because it led to this. So I say, hey, brother, you need to repent because you said it wasn't keeping the Shabbat. I don't give a damn if I'm 2 miles outside of Jerusalem and I keep the Shabbat. That is a contradiction to what you're saying, right? So I said, brother, you need to repent. So this other brother said, well, brother, well, you need to repent for saying that there was other people on the ship besides the 8 with Noah. I said, first of all, brother, I never said that there were more people on the ship. What I said is that according to the biblical text, whether you're going with the fallen angel theory or you're going with the lineage of Cain theory, there were other people that survived according to Genesis 6. Because it said these giants, whether it be giants or tyrants or Nephilim, whatever persuasion you want to rock with, they were there before and after that. That's what it literally says, and after that. After what's the that? That's the flood, right? So it all leaded up to the whole Esau thing, some of the descendants of the Horites or some of the descendants of the pre-flood people surviving the flood. You understand? So that's not something that I'm hard pressed on. I'm not out here wanting to get in no debate about who are the people that survived. I'm like, it ain't even that serious to me. You know what I'm saying? But the brother tried to corner me in that whole situation based upon, were there so-called white people before Esau? What do you brothers say to that?
You want me to go on?
Oh, you got it out.
It's funny, man, because I'm always growing on this subject, and I want to touch on the part about people surviving the flood. See, now, initially I thought, okay, there's no way in hell nobody survived the flood, but through research and my flood model, I think some places of the earth was not flooded, personally.
Right.
And those places could have harbored or been like a safe haven for some people to survive. Now the second part, does white people exist before Esau? I think yes, but I think it was rare. I think it was rare before Esau. And when I say white people, of course I'm talking about how they look. You understand?
Right.
But science is pretty much definitive. I wouldn't say definitive, but they're pretty much to the point where they know that our DNA went into Europe and carried those genes to create, like James brought up, the SLC. What is it, James? A425.
Yeah, I think it's SL. Yeah, something like that. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
SLC 24A5 or something like that, and the HERT2 gene to create white skin and stuff like that. That came from our haplogroup. So if it came from our haplogroup, I mean, it's very plausible to say Esau also carried those genes. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at it. That's how I build my argument on that. So does white people exist before Esau? Yes, I believe so. I believe that phenotype was around. I just think it was rare before him. And I think he had a lot to do with spreading it and spreading it across Europe. So that's my outlook on it.
Well, I would say mine, because I view the last glacial maximum as the flood, and that happened all over the globe. It wasn't no Y chromosomes from any other lineage to survive that. So from a biblical perspective, that would have to be Noah. The place I see where it's available for the Nephilim blood or something else to come through that would be through the females, because we find, because I think the Nephilim are archaic humans, and we find their DNA only coming through the female side, not the male. So, wives could have been a certain archaic human. Japheth's wife could have been a certain archaic human. And that's just my view on it.
Okay, so yeah, a brother tried to say that But let's look at the biblical narrative, right? Noah was commanded to preserve the clean and unclean animals and the clean humans, right? That had not mixed, for lack of a better word, let's say Neanderthal DNA or pre-archaic DNA or Nephilim DNA. Shout out to Jihad, right?
I was thinking of him this whole time. I was like, that boy going on a 30-minute rant. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So, if it was Noah, if Noah was called upon to preserve the righteous seed or the pure seed that have not mixed itself, why would he first take a wife that is not clean and pure, but she have mixed herself, or allow his sons to take wives that are mixed? Because it's kind of contradicting the whole purpose of why the Most High decided to destroy the earth, based upon the bloodline and the DNA being fused with
the serpent seed still had to survive, though, brother, in order for the Genesis 3 to come to fruition. That her seed would that the serpent seed and the woman's seed would have enmity with one another. Had to survive. So that's my view. And Ham nor Japheth were meant to be a priest or the priestly line. They were meant to be a separated lineage from their brother. And it would make sense that those different lineages from the root, which would carry on the legacy of the ancestors, would be more likely to have that DNA, because again, we don't find archaic human DNA or nothing like Neanderthal or Denisovian in any of the descendants. Well, I won't say any of the descendants of Shem, but definitely not the descendant of Shem with the E markers coming through. Not in ancient times, more modern times as they mix with Europeans, but for the most part, the E markers don't bear that.
Yeah, man. So it's definitely something that I want to kind of get off into, kind of look at, revisit. Couple of different, hypotheses that brothers might have concerning this. And this Neanderthal DNA, fallen angel DNA, however brothers want to classify it.
Neanderthal kills that notion that your environment, because Neanderthals are all over Europe. Why they didn't turn white? They was all black.
Europe, the Middle East, Siberia, North America, South America, Neanderthals everywhere, but Africa.
Yeah.
How can you can prove that?
Yeah, they find the bones all over the world.
And that gave a determination on their melanin?
That's they sequence their genome to get their melanin.
Yeah, Neanderthals weren't white. Neanderthals were dark. I think they were more animal than human, but that's nothing conclusive's come out on that yet. Ever since Europeans found out that they descend from Neanderthals became more and more human-like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Homo heidelbergensis was black. Like, I mean, all these hominids, they found out was black when they sequenced their genome. So it's like, if the climatic theory is true, then why it didn't work on them?
I think the evidence is pointing more towards the fact, they say Neanderthals had a small population, so they inbred a lot, which caused deleterious mutations. And then as they come and they mix with, I say, quote, normal humans, they start entering those deleterious mutations into their genome, and then that's how you end up getting, things like white skin, blue eyes, green eyes, different stuff like that, blonde hair, stuff popping up.
Yeah, now that makes sense. Like it's a break in the genome, because deleterious, like you said, that's removing information, destroying information. So that right there makes more sense than saying, oh, if you live in the what's those mountains, the Appalachian Mountains,
Yeah.
for thousands of years, you'll eventually turn into goddamn Charleston Heston. That don't make no damn sense, man. You know what I'm saying? No, it just got everything to do with genes. Your code, like you have a code that makes you look the way you look, and if any breaks in those sequences, you'll have defects. And I
Yeah,
believe,
because they say that modern European DNA pretty much is the same as the Cro-Magnon's DNA. They only carry I think up to 6 to 9% of Neanderthal DNA in the Cro-Magnons, and they believe the Cro-Magnons, which existed before the flood, quote unquote, they did have white skin, blue eyes, blonde hair, and stuff like that. So they did look like that, but they died off after the last glacial maximum. They died off before that, and then they didn't pop back up until we see the modern rendition of them in the Europeans we see today.
yeah, that makes sense too. I mean, like I said, like white people existed before Esau. I never made that claim. I just think it was rare. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we talking on that scale, we talking 30,000 years they was gone, and then they just recently popped back up. What they say, they argue for about 5,000 years ago tops.
Hey man, so since you brothers are Bible believers, do y'all believe that there are certain scientific hypotheses that clash or contradict what the Bible says?
No, he dropped out.
He dropped out. Yeah.
Clash of shit.
Only
Darwinian.
the time. Yeah, of course, Darwinism.
Yeah.
But mostly it's the time claims that I find that clash. If you drop down into relative dating like I do, in sequence or order of events, you don't find those issues. But if you want to be a stickler for, they say 20,000 years ago, they said 10,000 years ago, you're going to find the issue because it ain't. Oh, you back?
Yeah, he's back. I see his icon.
Yeah, I want to make sure you can hear it.
But yeah, man, time.
Yeah, man, I'm back, man. I got bumped off.
Okay, well, I pretty much was saying that my response was I only find the most major issues when I look at being a stickler about time. You know what I'm saying? Whether if I want to be a young Earth or old Earth, if I get stuck up in that, I find a lot of issues and contradictions. But I use relative dating, where I look at the sequence of order of events in the fossil record or an archaeological record and base it off that. And when I do it that way, I find it lays out almost perfectly.
Okay, yeah, con. Yeah, man, cause what's your thoughts on the whole 12,000 years ago or 6,000 years ago theory, according to their calculations of the age of the genealogies in Genesis?
All right. You want me to go or James?
Yeah, go ahead, Joshua.
I used to be a stickler on that. I used to be like 6,000 years. But the more I study, I feel like there's more than 6,000 years. For the simple fact that even if we go off flood, the flood happened 4,400 years ago. I have an issue with that as well. It is only because it don't line up on the chronological side. You understand? I think there was cities and stuff like this. Unless somebody can explain to me how that worked, because we already have cities in Egypt, we have civilizations and stuff like that thriving during that period. So I think there's something going on with the chronology. Also, human interaction and people groups going back 12,000 years in agriculture and stuff like that, I think that kind of puts a damper on that. But that's just me. Who am I? You know, that's just how I look at it.
Yeah, man. Because when we was on the show with them other brothers, Joshua, them Negroes trying to corner us into the well, you gotta stick with the Bible, brother. You can't go outside the Bible. So it's so funny because they accuse us of saying all you brothers do is read the Bible, and then when we started going outside the Bible, no, you can only read the Bible. Like, it's ridiculous, man, what these brothers be trying to pull on us sometimes, man.
Yeah. Hey, let me add this on to it. I say this because when it comes to those dates in Genesis, like especially those, 900 years, 800 years, and stuff like that. I was studying in the Sumerians, and they got 7 ancestors that lived before the flood too. But they it's like 640 times the number that the Bible uses. And I found it crazy because when I was looking at it, if you divided all the Sumerian numbers that they use, and they use thousands of years, by 640, you get the exact same number that's in the Bible, which led me to take it as it may be a more esoteric meaning behind the numbers than a literal years. You see what I'm saying? It may be some gematria or something like that has to deal with those numbers, that has deep, spiritual conveyance that we just may not be privy to anymore.
Right. Which the naysayers love to hear that, as if the Bible is not addressing everything that it needs to address. But even with the book of Genesis itself, it's more of a general view or review of the history that was given to Moses versus some of the more detailed accounts that are being given in some of these books that brother are classifying as pseudepigrapha or what's that term Black Jesus like to call
bullshit.
But I find when I read those books, man, it gives me, you understand, it gives me a little bit more detailed information. So I'm gonna give you an example, right? Such as the reasoning for Sarah asking Abraham to cast out Ishmael and his mother. So if I'm reading the Bible, basically
wouldn't know about that beef.
Yeah. Huh?
Say they wouldn't know about that beef.
Right. You know what I mean? So basically, if you're just reading Genesis, the only thing you're going to get is that he laughed at him. Like, children laugh at each other all the time. So how could that be justification for Sarah to ask Abraham to do that? And that was hard for Abraham because he had to be told, listen, go ahead and listen to your wife, So when you go into the book of Jasher, you find out that Ishmael attempted to kill her. And Sarah caught Ishmael, being 13, pointing a bow and arrow at a 5-year-old child. That's grounds for separation.
So he was on that Chirac shit.
Huh?
He was on that Chirac shit.
Hey, now you see why Esau fled and went and got Ishmael, because they both felt like they was wrong.
Right. Another reason, and it's the sons of Abraham, or the grandsons of Abraham, being born into existence of kingdoms already rising up and being some of the youngest races upon the planet to be born. And those three just happen to be the representatives of the 3 major religions on the earth.
Oh, you mean Judaism, Christianity,
and Islam?
Right.
I mean, yeah, I can see that. I can see that, especially with Ishmael. big influence on Islam, Judaism. Yeah, man. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I mean, everybody can see that. That ain't really no hidden fact or nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's how I know.
Right. Which they like to call the Abrahamic faiths. Yeah, that's why the Abrahamic faith is running the world right now, because the white man turned the rule. Because Abraham was a white man. These cats is something else, bro. Something else.
It's something called swagger jacking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They took
and they never deal with the characteristics of Esau, man. You know, they want to run to the Arabs and say, yeah, they're going to live by the sword. You know, he's going to be a wild man. But they'll take in consideration that Esau is going to live in the fatness of the earth. He's going to live high. He's going to live good all over the earth.
By the
and everywhere
sword. Don't
Right.
not do nothing but conquer. That's all he can do.
Right.
But they don't see him on earth. They don't see nobody living by the sword, conquering everywhere they go. Look, they don't want to just conquer the land. They want the economy. They want to rule your politics for you. They want to tell you, rise up regimes, make regimes fall if they don't like them. You know, everything's war. Sanctions is an act of war.
Yeah. Yeah, hell yeah. If a motherfucker tell you can't, if a motherfucker tell you can't trade, man, like,
yeah, that's
damn.
war. That's economic war.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I think the element that a lot of us is missing, and I was missing, I can admit to this, is the Japhetic element, because I believe Esau, like we said earlier, amalgamated with them, like the Romans and stuff like that, and a lot of them became Japhet and Esau.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the phylogenetic information, E and F went to Europe together, so.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I make my models. You know what I'm saying? I could be completely wrong, but I try to make a good model, good sensible model that I can make sense, you know, and be able to explain it, because your model has to have explanatory power. That's the best way I can, you know, put it together.
It got to be the best explanation you can come up with. You know what I'm saying? At the time, always you want to put that forward.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm with you, because I know that, you know, with the spreading of farm and the E, and I think it was E1B1 and a version of E1B1A. It's a long, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. They're responsible for pushing the farming almost everywhere, virtually. And we know E1B1A directly is synonymous with us. E1B1 would be our predecessor, our father group. And I argue that's the DNA, that archaic DNA that they find in the Yoruba and the Mende that traces back to ancient Israel.
Right. Ever since they connected us to the Ibero-Maurutians, like, that was game over, man.
Yeah, because they was all over North Africa into Europe, you know what I'm saying, coming from the Caspian.
Right. And then your article, I know that I've been seeing that article cited by other geneticists all the time now.
Yeah, it's a heavily cited article. Like I tell people, if you get cited by more than 10 people with a scientific article, your article's the shit. You know what I'm saying? And that article's been cited over like 150 sometimes.
Yep.
That's a legitimate article.
I'd seen it. I forgot what I was reading, but I seen it. It was like, when there is evidence of sub-Saharan African admixture in the Middle East, and they quoted that paper from 2011. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, God damn, how many people? So I've been running into it. You know, the citation. So yeah, man, that shit legit.
But you know, that article brought out a brand new innovation in backdating genetic admixture. So it was like a major breakthrough in the genetic field, just on its basis. If it had nothing to do with, you know what I'm saying, Israel or anything, it would have been a major breakthrough paper. But because it did, and it's mainly because a private Israeli citizen went out his way to get it funded to collect all the genomes and stuff like that. But they brought through a whole new breakthrough form of science to where they could backdate, you know, when admixtures occurred and stuff in the genome. So, you know, it's going to be quoted by probably hundreds, if not 1,000 or so geneticists in this time before we die.
Right, man. We're gonna have to answer the Hamite question though, because that's where everyone that's opposing
A
us
and B, man.
That's
A and
how I
B.
look. Yeah, A and B, man.
I'm with that.
The
A
early
and B.
non-lotes. I think the early non-lotes is what the Bible is depicting.
Yeah, because if you look at them tallest people in the world, they A.
Yeah.
I was looking at that, they A, and I believe that's what Ham was. Tall, extremely black, lanky person. You know what I'm saying?
Manute Bo.
Yeah, Manute Bo, straight up. Hamite.
You sure everybody with negative blood types not Hamite?
Man, I'm gonna leave that alone.
Don't answer that question.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
No, but like for real though, like people, I have read genetic tables of nations, and they always make F Shem, and they say DE is Ham, and then they'll say who they say Japhet. Oh,
J.
I forgot.
But J comes from F.
But exactly, in every single goddamn genetic table nation I've read on the internet, they never address A and B. They just leave A and B out of there, out of the
They
equation.
try to make it so archaic that it don't matter.
Yeah.
But you know my stance, Ham was the oldest son. So it makes sense. And I think the further they go back, the more they stretch that time frame, because you can do way more when you go back in time with the time. Oh, instead of making it 500 years, let's just go ahead and make it 100,000,
Right.
Why not? It fits the column real well.
Yeah, and it's like I that's why I can't conceptualize 4,400 years ago the flood. I feel like we're missing something. We need more time, you know what I'm saying, to make it all work as far as civilization, population growth, and so on and so forth.
Well, yeah, I believe the early parts of Genesis is like, a lot of scholars do say is an oral tradition recordation. You know what I'm saying? And I think, they were like, all right, let's write the parts that they need to know, the laity needs to know, to give them the right philosophical framework. You know what I'm saying? But right here in the background, the priests, they got their own true meanings and interpretations of it and stuff like that. So as we look through it and dig through the rest of the scriptures, and we pulling out, in Revelations, it say the tree of life is the leaves from the tree of life is the same as the pages from the book of life. Oh, that's the law. You see what I'm saying? Like you could pull that out and apply it back to Genesis. Like, all right, now I see what the deeper meaning is. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people like to be, basic and dogmatic and don't like to dig deeper, like God is shallow or something.
Right. I mean, like if we gonna construct these models, like we gotta go deeper. Like we can't stay at the surface level, man. Because the people that's against us, I believe they surface level on all their arguments, and I'm like, God damn, we can't be like them.
Yeah, because we get to talking to them. We dig a little deeper because, like, I talk to people like and people be like, oh, he be tripping sometimes, but I'll be like, I talk to people how I talk to myself when I research. I ask myself these types of questions. That's why they come off my head so quick like that, because I don't want to be wrong. I want to be as right as I can possibly be. And if I feel like my position ain't something that I can find something strong from scholarship to argue with, I'll tell them straight up, this is something I believe. Can't prove it. My studies push me this way, though, and leave it at that.
That just recently happened to me. Maybe last week, or it could have been this week. I can't remember. King Self, he said, "Can you prove that Jesus Christ resurrected?" I was like, I can't prove anybody resurrected. I believe he did, but that's okay. I believe it. That doesn't take anything for me from the validity of the story. That's
I think the best explanation for the story around Jesus, I mean, everything that's accepted as true about Jesus, the best explanation for it is that he actually rose from the dead, because our ancestors didn't have no concept of a dying, rising Messiah. That wasn't something that they knew, you know what I'm saying, that was gonna happen. Think about it, the disciples, they didn't know he was about to die. They thought that, he was gonna bring the kingdom in his lifetime. That's what everybody was waiting on. So for that to just pop up out of nowhere, you know what I'm saying, there has to be something that took place. And even psychologists and stuff like they've been talking about that they believe that these people actually believe that, because it wasn't just, Christian proponents who said they saw him. Even people who didn't believe in Jesus was saying that they had saw him walking around and stuff like that, or saw him after he had died. So I mean, like, I think it's a pretty strong argument. I mean, even Celsius, who was against it by the end of the book, was saying maybe Jesus is God. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I I guess the story was strong enough to convince people. People was willing to die for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was about to say the explosion of Christianity after that period. Like, what the hell happened in the first century to make it explode like that?
Mm-hmm.
You know
to
what
the
I'm
point
saying?
where a whole empire couldn't stop it. They had to convert. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like the Judeans or the early Judean Christians and put it like that was going around spreading it with the sword. That wasn't a thing. They were getting persecuted at the time. You know what I'm saying? Titus, the Arch of Titus showed that, and then hating it.
That's why atheist arguments that always be like, "Oh, well, Christianity was only spread. Well, early Christianity wasn't spread with a sword." And it was, and the strongest people adhered to the tenets most closely were the people in North Africa.
Yeah.
They was the side that broke away from the church after the Council of Nicaea, when they want to try to make Jesus God, and then start pushing more and more stuff. And next thing you know, they don't even want you following the law no more.
Right.
With the holy tetrarchs coming out with the homilies against the Jews, talking about how even the Jewish Christians should be exiled and locked away and persecuted and stuff like that. Man, early Christianity got some of the most barbaric language against our ancestors, man. For real. After we do this genetic thing, we might need to get into some of these homilies against the Jews, man.
Right. Yeah. It became pretty much unrecognizable. Christianity became unrecognizable from what it initially was. You know what I'm saying? Like you stated, the Council of Nicaea,
Council of Trent.
They always trying to kill Paul. They said you can credit what? Oh, never mind. He bigging him up. He said you can credit Apostle Paul for the spread of the teaching of Yeshua.
That's facts.
Yeah.
That's facts in a lot of these Gentile nations where Jews were amongst. And you know what killed me? When you look at a lot of those letters that Paul wrote to, if you go back to Acts 2, you know what I'm saying, you'll see that those devout Jews was from a lot of those places. Like, I never knocked that, hey, you know what I'm saying, Paul did, you know what I'm saying, maybe he did grab some heathens along the way. But if it already says devout Jews are in the region, and in some of these letters, he's saying things like, I believe it's in Galatians, where he's like, our ancestors was under the cloud. It makes it pretty clear to me he talking to them devout Jews, man.
Hold on, Craig Phillips want to chime in. He said the Hebrews got the resurrection death from the Babylonian exile Exodus.
What?
Come on the show, man. Let us know what you're talking about. Drop.
Wait, the resurrection death comes from the Babylonian exiles Exodus? Then why it take them 600 years to write it down?
I'm curious. I don't know what he's talking about. I'm gonna be honest, but most people go to, I guess, Osiris, But the way he resurrected, that was some weird sexual deviancy,
He
animal.
didn't even resurrect. Only thing that resurrected was the golden phallus.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's the only thing that resurrected.
Well, he's talking about Tammuz. Octavio said he's talking about Tammuz. Tammuz resurrected.
Tammuz, same thing. Tammuz, mama had sex with the daddy for Tammuz to be born.
But was he resurrected though?
Only in him being immortalized as a god.
Don't tell me Ratchet Craig is quoting the Zeitgeist. That is the most pseudo film ever made. A lot of those claims they made is not backed up with archaeology. There's nothing.
Only thing I would say that is true is that the Roman Catholic depictions of Christianity may go back in essence to pagan, the mother and child images in essence, but it has nothing to do with Christianity itself. It has to do with the pagan adaptations that the Catholic Church took on when it took over Christianity.
Yeah, syncretism.
Mm-hmm. That's what universal, or Catholic means, universal.
Right. They got to think of it from a political standpoint. They were trying to get people in that were still doing those pagan practices. They were trying to make it sexy or appealing to those groups, like those Druids and stuff. So,
well, I wouldn't say the Druids because they threw the Druids in the same category as the Jews and the Christian Jews for their practices. They did. So I that's what made me dig into the history of Jews in Britain more, because they threw them all together like that. And I had heard the story about Joseph of Arimathea being from Britain, and they talk about how I found it in other books as well that Britain was the first Christian nation before any nation, or before Rome became Christian. Britain was already a Christian nation because its king converted early on in the process, like in the 1st century.
Yeah, and that's even more credence to Jesus, because how much of an influence or impact one person can have. And this is before the internet. This is before the printing press and all that. That's why it had to be something going on in the 1st century with Jesus for all these things that happened in subsequent.
This is back when to have a papyrus was a day's work, or 2 days' work. My bad. To get one papyrus and some ink to write on, was 2 days' work. So, my dude, this is expensive. This is an expensive endeavor to talk about this, man, and this is done amongst peasants. So these people coming together, collecting money together just to document and write these things that took place as eyewitness testimony, and people 2,000 years later want to just throw them out. Get out of here.
Right, and that's what separates the Gospels, the writings that pertain to Christ, because any other, you could tell when it's mythos. It's like grandiose stories. Like what's the story where he ripped the arm off of the Beowulf?
Yeah, Beowulf.
It's like very, very grandiose. He ripped the arm off of a dragon, and he became the hero.
Yeah, the dragon he fathered a dragon, half human type son. You know what I mean?
Right.
All types of crazy stuff.
You don't see those type of motifs in the scriptures.
All you may see is an exorcist, which, people still do exorcisms to this day, whether you believe in them or not. People had jobs as exorcists.
Right.
He was a carpenter. He was a preacher. People preach today all the time. He was just charismatic. You know what I'm saying? But anybody who is, truthful and honest has to say either this man is who he said he is, the son of God, or he's a psychopath. Yes.
Right.
One or the other. Because some of the stuff he said, you know what I'm saying? If he ain't the son of God, he tripping.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. I mean, I don't know how do you fabricate it. You know what I'm saying? And the story, it's about a man that got betrayed by his own and got killed by the Romans.
That they documented, that they killed.
Right. So what's grandiose about that? That doesn't sound like some kind of fanciful story that was concocted. You know what I'm saying? The way we see other Near Eastern mythos are concocted.
And we ain't see people dying for their mythos either.
Right. That's never how it ended, right?
Yeah.
So that shit crazy, man. Hopefully Ratchet Craig, if you there, man, jump in, man. Join the conversation, man. That brother gonna be in the back chat chilling. You know what I'm saying? He the back chat villain, man. Just back there chilling, talking this shit. Don't want to join it in. But yeah, man. Damn, man. The CEO came in here and changed the whole course of the
conversation, huh?
Yeah, man. This supposed to be a Darwinian witch hunt, man. You messing up the energy. You know what I'm saying? Fucking up the feng shui.
Boy say feng shui.
Yeah. Shit. All right, man. I'm gonna end it on the Darwinian tip, man. I'm gonna go back and finish that well video, then I'm gonna close out.
All right, cool. Because I got to go work from mom.
Right, let's go back. Let's start it from the beginning, man. Let me share my screen. And Khontinued, man. That nigga better not say nothing to me no more, bro. I'm tired of that nigga, man. That nigga full of shit.
You want to hear something silly? Bears can't parallel park. You want to hear something even sillier? Darwin thought that bears could turn into whales. Back in the 1800s, when Darwin first published The Origin of Species, this is exactly what he said. And he was brutally mocked by scientists of his day for thinking something so ridiculous. He even retracted the idea from later editions of his book. But here's the kicker. Scientists of today think essentially the same thing. Stupid Darwin thinks bears could have turned into whales. How ridiculous. Everyone knows these wolf, pig, weasel, hippo.
That's funny every time I see it, man.
Back in the 80s and the 90s, a series of fossils were found that rocked the evolutionary landscape. Paleontologists thought that they had found a clear transitional series of fossils documenting the evolution of whales. University of Chicago evolutionary biologist Jerry Coyne says in his book Why Evolution is True, whales happen to have an excellent fossil record, courtesy of their aquatic habits and robust, easily fossilized bones. This is one of our best examples of an evolutionary transition. Wow, one of the best. Let's take a look at the story behind whale evolution. Is it a good argument or not? So according to Coyne, whale evolution is such great evidence since we have a chronologically ordered series of fossils. And it goes something like this. The sequence begins with a raccoon-sized animal called Indohyus, living 48 million years ago. 52 million years ago, we see a wolf-sized creature called Pakicetus, which is a bit more whale-like.
And you know, that's crazy because somebody was like, oh, they never taught that, whales came from wolves. Bruh, they described this damn creature as wolf-like, man.
Like then Indohyus. At 50 million years ago, there's the remarkable Ambulocetus. Rhodocetus, 47 million years ago, is even more aquatic. Finally, at 40 million years ago, we find the fossils of Basilosaurus and Dorodon, before we have our modern whales. Let's take a look a little bit closer at this chronologically ordered series of fossils. If you're paying attention, you might be thinking something fishy is going on here, but no, you'd be wrong. That would not be a bad pun because whales are mammals, not fish. But also, yes, something mammally was going on here. Granting the standard Darwinian dates for these fossils, Indohyus is dated as far younger than his supposed descendants. And he's not the only one, more on that later. This is common practice in evolutionary analysis, to ignore where species actually show up in the fossil record and place them wherever makes Darwinian sense, creating what are called chronological inversions, or ghosts. Oh, that's so spooky. The fossil record often reveals fossils out of the order that they're supposed to be in. For just a couple of other examples, let's take a look at bird evolution. It's supposed to go theropod dinosaurs evolving into birds, with the fossil Archaeopteryx being evidence of this as an intermediate fossil. But the problem is he appears long before the dinosaurs he was supposed to have descended from. Evolution also got a big stick in its spokes with this guy, Tiktaalik, a fish-like creature that was for years crowned as the smoking gun transitional fossil of fish starting to go from the sea to the land. Brilliant evidence, just what they expected. Until in 2010, fossil footprints of true tetrapods were found in Poland, long before they were supposed to have evolved. And all of a sudden, TikTok.
So all this evidence, empirical data, killing it damn, the whole theory, man. The whole theory, pretty much, essentially. Tiktaalik, Archaeopteryx appearing before the supposed creatures it's supposed to evolve from. Archaeopteryx is just a damn bird, man.
Was dethroned as a transitional fossil because, again, the dates are all out of order. Hey, everybody, I'd like you to meet my grandpa. Oh, so cute. Is that his name? Or... No, his name is Seymour. He is my grandpa. That doesn't make any sense. Back to the chronologically ordered series of fossils, Basilosaurus and Dorodon are considered fully aquatic whales. They're not a transition to anything. Okay, maybe they're just trying to pad their numbers a little bit, big deal. Surely the rest of the fossils are intermediate and transitional, right? Well, that depends on how you define intermediate. In paleontology, intermediate doesn't mean what we think it means. Like my parents are intermediate between me and my Gam Gam and Pop Pop.
Oh, hello, sweetie.
Hi, Gam Gam.
Oh, my, how tall you've grown. Ah, but you're so skinny. Would you like your Gam Gam to make you a nice pot pie? You know, staying healthy.
By intermediate, paleontologists usually mean a fossil is merely morphologically intermediate. In other words, if a fossil has features of a supposed ancestor and descendant, then it is classified as an intermediate or transitional fossil. But with that definition, I would be a morphological intermediate between this jockey and this professional basketball player. But that doesn't say anything about lineage, whether I'm an ancestor or descendant of either one. We could be completely unrelated, or even chronologically out of order. That wouldn't matter.
This is why you can't use lookership.
The ancestral relationship, or how they came about, is pure assumption. This is how they can say there's tons of intermediate fossils and be technically correct, while at the same time skeptics can say, yeah, there aren't really any intermediate fossils, and also be correct. The fossil evidence is so meager that Darwinists, in order to prove evolutionary ancestry, they have to use a slippery definition that no one would accept in other areas of life. But for the sake of argument, let's ignore that problem because there's another one. Is there even enough time for the transition from land to water to hypothetically take place? Again, taking the standard evolutionary numbers for granted, we've got about 8 to 10 million years to go from the land mammal Pakicetus to fully aquatic whales. It sure seems like a whole lot of time. It's almost enough time for me to watch a Lord of the Rings marathon with someone who has a really small bladder. But is it enough time for whales to have evolved? The field of population genetics is devoted to calculating how long something like this would take. In the past, it was assumed that this was relatively simple to do, as easy as falling off a log. But more recently, scientists at Cornell University calculated how long it would take for different organisms to evolve 2 simple beneficial mutations. For fruit flies with their relatively large population sizes and speedy generation times, it'd only take a few million years for 2 mutations to become fixed. For larger mammals like humans, who have much smaller population sizes and longer generation times, they calculated it would take over 200 million years. Again, that's only for 2 beneficial mutations. Okay, so where would whales and their supposed ancestors fall on that timescale? They're not as quick to reproduce as flies, but quicker than humans. So for 2 simple beneficial mutations, that's supposed to take roughly 43.3 million years.
Damn.
So the evidence shows, using their own assumptions and calculations, that they don't even have 1/4 of the time needed for even 2 simple mutations. And it takes quite a lot of changes to go from the land.
Right. There's only 2 simple mutations. You need a succession. You got to have a whole bunch of mutations to change the body plan, change the morphometric, change a terrestrial animal to a fully aquatic animal. And just to get 2, it takes 43 million years. This is supposed to be done between 8 and 10 million. Come on now.
And to the water, it turns out, including some of these lovely attributes. So, how many mutations does it take to change a pachycetus? Ooh, I know this joke. 3. 1 to hold it and 2 to turn the ladder. How many mutations does it take to change a pachycetus to a whale? Not where I would have gone with that joke, but what do I know? To put that in context, take giraffes and their derpy little short-necked pals, the okapi. They're quite similar, and a recent paper studied their differences and found surprisingly 70 different genes that likely contributed to the giraffe's appearance. If animals that similar required 70 gene changes for basically just a longer neck and stronger heart, it's a pretty safe bet that animals as different as pachycetus and whales would require at least as many, and more likely many thousands more. But it gets worse. Recently, a new basilosaurid fossil was found in Antarctica that, even using the most generous dates for Darwinists, cuts down the time available for the whale transition to about half of the already not enough time of 8 million years, and could even place fully aquatic whales before Rhodocetus, before Ambulocetus in contemporary with, or even before Pachycetus,
Wow.
destroying the entire fossil timeline. So is the whale transitional fossil series any good? Well, once you take into account the padding of their numbers, the chronological inversions, the ghost lineages, more recent fossil finds that discredit the timeline, and their creative use of definitions for what it even means to be a transitional fossil, the mathematical problems using their own numbers, they're all very clever tricks. But once you see how all of this works, it's quite a bit less impressive. To be fair, scientists aren't doing this maliciously. They really believe that evolution is just obviously true. So they reason, whether we have 8 million years or 4 million years, lots of fossils or no fossils. If evolution is true and we have whales today, then they must have been able to evolve, regardless of any problems that pop up. But if you don't presuppose evolution, if you treat it as a hypothesis rather than an assumption, then problems like these become far more difficult to hand-wave away.
And exactly, man. Y'all stop using that magic and assuming that magic worked, we'll be in a better place.
These fossil finds certainly are interesting and worth debating, but there's a lot more to it than the uncritical, glossy, one-sided story being told. If this is one of the best evidences for evolution, what does that mean for their other evidence that's not as good?
All right, man. We're gonna close it out, but I want to say for all the people like, why you going on evolution? There's plenty of channels, plenty of literature out there going against creation and criticizing creation. We can criticize and scrutinize evolution, man. Because if y'all are not on Sonetta's channel getting on him for criticizing and scrutinizing the Hebrew faith, but as soon as you see us criticize evolution, now it's a problem. Get out y'all feelings. And I'm gonna leave y'all with that. We out.
Shalom, fam.
Shalom.